Chapter 857. The next day, Su Yiyin pushed the stroller out of the family's front door with a stomach full of doubts and curiosity. On the way to the company, Su Yiyin's gaze fell on number 1, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. After all, number 1 had received professional training and was quite sensitive to other people's gazes. When Su Yiyin looked at him, he noticed it immediately. Along the way, he was aware of every look that Su Yiyin threw at him. Along the way, he felt like he was sitting on pins and needles, and he broke out in cold sweat. Those who didn't know would think that there were many enemies lurking around along the way. It made him panic as if he was facing a great enemy. When they finally arrived at the East City Gate, Su Yiyin finally couldn't help but ask him, "Do you know how to take care of the child?" Number 1 didn't understand why Su Yiyin would ask this. He looked at her blankly and then said with a serious face, "If young madam needs it, I can." Su Yiyin? What do you mean by, if I need it? I suspect you're driving. Forget it, I'll take care of him myself. Su Yiyin pushed the pink stroller into the company through the front door. She passed by the front desk and went straight to the office upstairs. Little did she know that as soon as she left, the news of the big boss bringing a newborn young master to the company spread to every corner of the company as if it had wings. A group of strange uncles and aunties who were resting in the company were all eager to go up and see what the boss's child looked like. "Baby, look, this is Mommy's office. Mommy's office is very spacious and beautiful, isn't it? Look, there are even small cars down there, one after another small cars." Su Yiyin carried Zai Zai to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the cars coming and going on the street below. Little Xingxing stared with his big round eyes without crying or making a fuss. He curiously stared at the cars below for a long time without getting tired of it. In the end, Su Yiyin was a little tired from carrying Zai Zai. Zai Zai also seemed a little hungry, so she put the child back into the cradle. Su Yiyin had just made the milk and stuffed it into the child's mouth when the office door opened. "Come in." "Cough Yiyin, it's me." As soon as Xia Junxing entered the office, he saw the pink pram beside the desk. He thought of the hot topic in the company group not long ago, and his expression became subtle. Su Yiyin helped Zai Zai hold the milk bottle with one hand and patted the little guy with the other to prevent him from choking. Hearing the voice, he raised his head and looked at Xia Junxing. "What's the matter?" Xia Junxing hesitated for a moment. In the end, he couldn't overcome his curiosity and asked seriously, "You brought the child to the company?" "Something happened at home yesterday. I was worried about leaving the child at home, so I brought him here." As Su Yiyin spoke, she seemed to have thought of something. She said awkwardly, "Is there a company rule against bringing children here? I didn't think too much about it before. That's all for today. I'll see what I can do tomorrow. I promise I won't let him disturb you or delay your work." When Xia Junxing heard her words, he couldn't help but laugh. "The company doesn't say that you can't bring children here. Moreover, your office is independent and the soundproofing is good. He won't disturb others. I don't mean anything else. I'm just a little curious about your baby. To be precise, many of the company's employees are very curious about your baby. Now they are discussing how to form a team to sneak up and steal the baby." Su Yiyin's hands paused. She almost thought that she had heard wrongly. The company's many employees. Chapter 858. Some people saw you pushing the trolley up and sent it to the company's group chat. Now many people are eyeing your baby covetously. Why did she feel like she had just escaped the tiger's den and entered the wolf's den? Su Yiyin glanced at the little guy who was drinking milk with his eyes narrowed. "Baby, you are so popular. People want to steal you wherever you go." However, Su Yiyin also knew that the verbal theft of these people in the company was different from the theft yesterday. She only snorted jokingly. "Assign more work to them. When they are busy, they won't have time to think about my baby." Xia Junxing was amused by her words and echoed, "That makes sense." Su Yiyin glanced at him suspiciously and asked with a smile, "Brother Junxing, are you also a member of the child-stealing team?" "No. I'm just here to tell you. I'm here to tell you that Dancing Red will be completed at the end of this month. The artists in the company have fewer scenes, but most of them have already returned." "So soon? Have you arranged the things I asked you to arrange before?" "It's all arranged." Xia Junxing paused and said thoughtfully, "In addition, there is a more important thing that I think it is necessary to tell you in advance." "What is it?" "Ning Chirui is in love." Su Yiyin froze and exclaimed after she reacted, "What did you say?" The little guy who was drinking milk was startled and was about to cry. Su Yiyin was shocked and couldn't care about anything else. She quickly stuffed the pacifier back into his mouth and patted him gently to coax him. Good boy, it's Mommy's fault. Mommy shouldn't have spoken so loudly and scared you. I'll pat you. Just pat you and you'll be fine. It was the first time Xia Junxing saw Su Yiyan coaxing a child, and he was a little absent-minded. Almost 2 years ago when they first met, Su Yiyan in Xia Junxing's eyes was still a child who had just stepped into society. Who would have thought that 2 years later, this girl had quickly married and even had a child? The most heart-wrenching thing was that as her brother, he was still single. Su Yiyan didn't notice the complicated feelings in Xia Junxing's heart. It wasn't easy to coax the child, and a layer of cold sweat had already appeared on her forehead. Heaving a sigh of relief, he recalled the topic they had just discussed and continued to ask, with whom? Could it be Yu Yusher? It was no wonder that Su Yiyan's first reaction was these two people. They were really close in age and had similar family backgrounds. Most importantly, they had just worked together on the drama, Dancing Red, not long ago. After being in the same crew for so long, it was possible that feelings would develop over time. The tricky part was that whether it was Ning Chirui or Yu Yusher, they both came from talent shows and were considered to be popular. Logically speaking, they should not be able to find a boyfriend or girlfriend before they changed careers. Otherwise, it was very likely that it would be a fatal blow to their career. This should also be the main reason why Xia Junxing specifically mentioned this to Su Yiyan. Some companies would have a rigid rule in the early stage of the contract that artists could not be in a relationship for a few years after joining the company. This was to prevent the sudden exposure of a relationship from being too big of an impact, and all the early investments would be for naught. However, the situation of these two people was relatively special. They belonged to the type of people who would inherit the family business if they didn't properly mingle in the industry. The public relations department would probably be worried sick if they encountered this matter. Xia Junxing was silent for a moment and shook his head. No. No. It's Miss Xia Ningxi, the screenwriter of Dancing Red. Su Yiyan? Chapter 859. Su Yiyan was dumbfounded. When did these two hook up? After the important supporting male character broke away from the control of the pretentious female lead, he had his own new couple. She didn't even know about it. You mean Ning Chirui is dating Miss Xia Ningxi, the scriptwriter of Dancing Red? When did this happen? Who knows about it? The baby in the stroller seemed to be frightened by Su Yiyan's sudden raised voice. He pulled out the pacifier and pursed his lips. He was about to cry again. Su Yiyan's imposing manner suddenly weakened and she hurriedly coaxed, Mommy was wrong, Mommy was wrong. I won't scare you anymore. Don't cry, don't cry. After comforting the child, Su Yiyan looked up at Xia Junxing inquiringly again. Xia Junxing opened his mouth and was about to explain when there was another knock on the door. Who would come at this time? Su Yiyan frowned. Come in. The office door was opened. Su Yiyan looked up and was amused. Oh, you came at the right time. I was just talking about you. Speak of the devil. The people who came in were none other than Ning Chirui and Yu Yusher, whom Su Yiyan had just been talking about. Behind them was Yun Luoshan. Me? Ning Chirui, who was walking in front, looked around and pointed at himself with a blank face. What did you say about me? You said that a certain young master kept saying that he wanted to be in the entertainment industry and concentrate on his work. In the end, he only acted in one drama and hooked up with a girlfriend. He only wants to date and has no heart to work. When Ning Chirui heard her words, he probably guessed what she was talking about. He touched his nose guiltily and laughed. When fate comes, it can't be stopped. You can't let me watch the person I like slip away from me for the sake of my career and die alone. Su Yiyan almost laughed at his words. He said it in such a dignified manner. Those who didn't know better would think that he fell in love at first sight and would marry no one but her. If he missed this opportunity, he would really be single for the rest of his life. Oh, men who knew what would happen in the future when they spoke sweet words and pledged their love. A lifetime was not short. Leniency to those who confess, severity to those who resist. Tell me, when did you two hook up? Ning Chirui chuckled. What do you mean by hooking up? It's too unpleasant to hear. Xiao Shi and I didn't have any feelings for each other at first sight, but we fell in love when we saw each other again. Speak human language. It's just that after interacting with her for a long time on set, I feel that she's a good person. She also has a good impression of me, and after a while, feelings blossomed. Ha! Su Yiyan heard Ning Chirui's words and glanced at him with disdain. Look, other people joined the production team to work, but this guy used work as an excuse to pick up girls. He didn't do his job properly. As if sensing Su Yiyan's disdain, the corners of Ning Chirue's mouth twitched slightly. He felt wronged and said, "Although it's not good for me to be in a relationship during work hours, it doesn't affect my work. My performance in the drama is remarkable and worthy of recognition. Even Director Luo praised me for my talent in this area. They can all testify to that." Yu Yushi and Yun Luoshan did not expect that they would be implicated in the drama. They were shocked and hurriedly said, "No, I didn't. We don't know anything." Ning Chirue was speechless. After all, they were colleagues who had been in the production team for several months. How could they sell out at this time? The snacks that he had asked the chef at home to send over for the past few months were ultimately paid for wrongly. Chapter 860. No one expected that the person who rescued Ning Chirue from this embarrassing situation was none other than the little guy in the stroller. There was only a thin layer of the milk bottle left, but little Xingxing took the initiative to pull out the pacifier. He opened his big eyes and waved his chubby little arms to ask for a hug. Su Yiyan's heart softened when she saw him like this. How could she still be in the mood to pursue someone for picking up girls on set? She put the milk bottle aside and picked up the baby. "Baby, are you full? Come, let mommy touch you." Su Yiyan touched the baby's frog belly as she spoke, causing the baby to giggle. When the little guy was just born, he was already close to 8 caddies. Over the past month, he had been eating and sleeping to his heart's content. He had been nourished until he was smooth and tender, white and plump. His pair of small hands were like lotus roots, jointed and jointed. Several people ran up at this time to take a look at the baby. When they saw Su Yiyan pick him up, their eyes lit up. Especially the 2 girls, their eyes lit up like light bulbs when they saw such a fair and well-behaved baby. Yun Luoshan was more shy. No matter how much she liked the baby, she was too embarrassed to say it. However, Yu Yushi did not have such concerns. When she saw the legendary little prince of the boss's family, she subconsciously took a step forward and said happily, "Boss, is this your baby? He looks so cute. Can I hold him?" Su Yiyan glanced at her in surprise. Only then did Yu Yushi realize that her request seemed a little abrupt. She was hesitating whether to say something to remedy the situation when she heard Su Yiyan say, "Sure." Su Yiyan's straightforwardness was surprising. Yu Yushi was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. "Really? Of course." Su Yiyan looked helpless. Yu Yushi and the others were her employees, and they had a superior and subordinate relationship with her. She just wanted to hold her baby. She was not so petty. "Hold him here." "Yes, slow down. Hold him here." Very good." Su Yiyan corrected her hand gesture as she carefully placed the baby in her hand. It was probably Yu Yushi's first time coming into contact with such soft little creatures. Her entire body stiffened, but her heart was soaring with excitement. "He's so soft, so small and so fragrant." Pfft. Su Yiyan couldn't help but burst out laughing. Yu Yushi also knew that what she said was very silly. Her face was slightly red, but she still stubbornly said, "It's true. It smells like milk. It's fragrant." The corner of Ning Chirue's mouth twitched when he heard Yu Yushi's words. "I suspect that you'll bite him in the next second. Strange auntie. Don't think that I won't beat you up just because you're the young master of the Ning family. Come on, who's afraid of who?" Su Yiyan looked at the 2 people who could quarrel with just a few words and suddenly realized how naive he was to think that the 2 of them would become a couple. Yun Luoshan was not surprised that the 2 of them would quarrel whenever they met. She reached out to poke the baby's little face, but the baby grabbed her finger instead. Yun Luoshan was shocked. For a moment, she didn't know whether to pull her hand back or continue poking. Su Yiyan turned her head and saw her baby grabbing the beautiful young lady's finger and giggling. She froze for a moment and chuckled softly. "The baby seems to like you very much." Yun Luoshan looked at the child and couldn't help but touch the back of her head and giggle. "Maybe I'm more popular with children." Chapter 861. No, it should be because you're younger and the generation gap between you and the baby is smaller. The 2 older people were at a loss for words as they quarreled over such a trivial matter. They felt like they had been implicated. At this age, the baby was not afraid of strangers and did not cry or make a fuss when he was held in the arms of strangers. The well-behaved baby was always particularly popular. At first, Yu Yushi and the others were a little restrained, but later they began to tease the baby with various small toys in the stroller. It was worth mentioning that when girls, especially beautiful girls like Yun Luoshan, teased him, the little guy would laugh very happily. However, when it came to Ning Chirue or Xia Junxing, The baby would only stare at them with his big black grape-like eyes with an innocent face. Ning Qiruwei did not believe it. He made faces, rang the bell and tried all the toys in the stroller, but he did not get a smile from the baby. Yu Yusher picked up a small rattle and turned it around. The tinkling sound instantly attracted the child's attention. The baby stared at the rattle for a long time, then suddenly opened his mouth and revealed a big smile. Oh, he smiled. His smile is so cute. He hasn't even grown teeth yet. His teeth are pink and soft. Ah! The happier Yu Yusher laughed, the more depressed Ning Qiruwei was. He finally couldn't help but stand up and say angrily, "Damn, I suspect that he's sexist." Su Yiyan did not expect her baby to know how to treat girls, especially beautiful girls, differently at such a young age. When he grew up, he would probably be a Huahua prince who went around coaxing little girls. It must be that the baby's father was too indecent when she was pregnant. He must have led the baby astray by sweet-talking all day long. Achoo! Huo Chenhuan, who was busy confirming Huo Qihan's whereabouts with Gu Xiaoyang and the others, suddenly felt an itch in her nose and sneezed in front of several subordinates. This sudden change made the originally serious atmosphere in the conference room become subtle in an instant. After a moment of silence, Zui Yanbai asked with concern, "Did you catch a cold?" "No." Huo Chenhuan rubbed her nose and smiled. "It should be Yen Yen and the baby who are thinking about me." The three of them. They were caught off guard by a mouthful of dog food. Could single dogs have some human rights? "Have you found out where Huo Qihan is?" Yu Zian raised his eyebrows and a malicious smile appeared on his face. "Isn't it easy to find out where he is? He has a moving time bomb by his side. As long as you want it to explode, you can make it explode whenever you want." Hearing his words, Gu Xiaoyang could not help but squint his eyes and say sarcastically, "He even brought her along when he was fleeing. Seems that he really loves her." Husband and wife are birds in the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly separately. Even an old couple was like this, not to mention a couple like them who had left home halfway through their marriage. He treats her as his true love. I'm afraid she wants to kill him every minute. Zui Yanbai turned to look at Huo Chenhuan. "Young master, do you want to inform the police now?" Since the three of them knew that Huo Qihan had bribed the people in the old mansion to steal their little prince, they were all eager to rush to Huo Qihan and press him to the ground. Huo Chenhuan pondered for a moment and chuckled. "Send someone to keep an eye on them and inform the police of their whereabouts. By the way, inform Huo Qihan that the police already know his whereabouts." Chapter 862. The three of them looked at each other in surprise. Inform him? Then wouldn't he run away in advance? That's why I asked you to keep an eye on him. Huo Chenhuan glanced at the three of them. Let someone inform the police every time you find a place to stay. Let him run away before they catch him. You want to let him run around like a rat crossing the street without a fixed place to stay? To wear down his willpower? What willpower can he have now? Huo Chenhuan sneered, her eyes full of coldness and disdain. Hiding from place to place like a shameful animal. Every time you think you finally have a safe place to stay, you're immediately discovered. Once or twice is fine, but if it happens a few more times or a dozen times, what will you do? I'll go crazy. Compared to being hopeless at the beginning, being disappointed again and again with subtle hope, and finally discovering that the so-called hope was just an illusion, complete despair was the most torturous and the most devastating. If Huo Qihan was a rat, then their young master was a cat. The rat that fled in panic always thought that it could escape and see the light again. Little did it know that when it fell into the cat's trap, it had already become a turtle in a jar. No matter how it struggled, it was doomed to be punished. After Zui Yanbai understood this, his whole body shook and he said solemnly, "I know what to do." Huo Chenhuan looked up and glanced at him. "Keep an eye on him. I don't want the same thing to happen again." As soon as these words came out, the three of them felt their scalps tighten. Huo Chenhuan only told Su Yiyan that Huo Qihan had bribed the courier and stalled the nanny at home to buy time for the woman to commit the crime. But she didn't tell her that Huo Qihan had something to do with the woman's son's gambling and debt. The woman didn't lie about this matter. Her husband died young and she raised the child alone. The family Huo gave her a high salary, so it wasn't difficult for her to raise the child alone. However, because the child did not have a father, she always felt that she owed her son. She spent all her hard-earned money on her son, but she forgot that there were some things that money could not make up for. She thought that her selfless dedication did not earn her son's gratitude. Instead, it made him become extravagant, extremely vain, and fond of competing with others. Wuxihan took advantage of this and easily pulled him into the fire pit. He used this as a breakthrough point to bribe that woman. Ever since Hu Chenhuan took over the Hu Corporation and drove Wuxihan out, she had been sending people to secretly monitor his every move. However, his subordinates had not noticed anything that he had done. This was what made Hu Chenhuan angry. This was a dereliction of duty on the part of those who were sent to spy on them, as well as the negligence of the three of them. They could only pray that Hu Qihan would be made more miserable so that Hu Chenhuan would be a little less angry. They could also atone for their mistakes. Su Yiyin did not know about the little episode here. When she heard Ning Qirui's complaint, she solemnly exonerated her son. Like repel, opposites attract. This is the law of nature. It's undeniable that your face is indeed a little handsome according to a girl's aesthetic, but this doesn't mean that you can attract both men and women and make boys like you. Let me give you a simple example. Brother Junxing, do you like him? Xia Junxing, who was suddenly called out, said, "No. See, he doesn't like you either. This has nothing to do with gender discrimination. It's only about yourself." Ning Qirui was speechless. After all this time, it was still my fault. Chapter 863. Ning Qirui, who was treated differently by the child and inexplicably took the blame, shut himself up on the spot. Xia Junxing had other work to deal with, so he left first. The baby hit it off with Yin Luoshan. With her coaxing the child, Su Yiyin could also take some time to comfort the old employees of the company. "I thought that after what happened before, your sister wouldn't let you continue to stay in this circle." Yu Yushir was stunned, and it took her a while to realize that Su Yiyin was talking to her. "Although my sister is worried about me, she also dotes on me. As long as it's something I decide, she rarely interferes." "So, you've made up your mind to continue down this path?" "I didn't want to quit." Yu Yushir looked a little disappointed when she said this. "I don't have any other strengths. My sister is in charge of the family and the company. Even if I enter the company, I'll only drag her down. It's better to find something else to do. Besides, it's not easy for me to make friends. She's so soft-hearted. If I'm not around, who knows if she'll be bullied." "I didn't expect you to have some self-awareness." Before Yu Yushir finished speaking, Ning Qirui interrupted with a faint smile. Yu Yushir was so angry that she almost jumped up and hit him. "You still have the nerve to talk about me? Aren't you the same?" Ning Qirui was at a loss for words. He touched his nose and said embarrassedly, "Okay, I can't talk about you. I'm the same as you. My brother is in charge of the family. I'm not cut out for business. I can't do anything since I was young. I can only eat and wait for death." Yu Yushir did not expect him to say this. After a long time she said, "Oh, you know yourself quite well." Well, the words that someone said a minute ago were thrown back at him. Then the two of them glared at each other for a long time. Suddenly they sighed and lowered their heads like two defeated roosters. Su Yiyin watched the two of them go back and forth and found it quite interesting. As the youngest in the family, she could understand their feelings. As the youngest child in the family, most of them were the most favored one, but the most favored one did not mean that they were the best one. Other children were often compared, let alone this kind of child who was raised in the same family. Even if their family members did not compare them, outsiders would still gossip about them. Fortunately, the family loved the child enough and taught him well. They didn't raise the child astray. Otherwise, who knows how the family would have become restless. "Are the two of you so unambitious? Tiske, no wonder you can't do anything." Yu Yushir did not expect Su Yiyin to not comfort them and even hit them when they were down. They immediately raised their heads and glared at Su Yiyin. Su Yiyin was not afraid of them. He snorted coldly and said, "Rely on your face to make a living?" She had to have a face that was prettier than others first. Also, do you really think you can act in Director Luo's drama just because you have a face? Do you really think that our company's long-term contract is something that anyone can sign casually? Are you looking down on me? Or are you looking down on Director Luo? Yu Yushir and Ning Qirui were both stunned and did not know how to answer for a moment. Seeing that the two of them did not speak, Su Yiyin snorted again and said ruthlessly, "From tomorrow, no, from this afternoon, I will ask Brother Junxing to arrange a few more classes for you. Take advantage of your free time to learn a few more things. With real talent, who would dare to say that you rely on your face to make a living? Isn't it good to be a young master and a young lady? You only know how to let your imagination run wild. I think you're all too free and spoiled." Chapter 864. When Ning Qirui heard that he still had to attend classes after entering the company, he felt a headache coming on. he begged for mercy with a bitter face. No, no, no. Let me earn a living with my face. I like to earn a living with my face. I've been lying at home for so long. I have to take those bitter medicine every day and receive all kinds of treatment. Now that I've finally recovered, I can't overwork myself. I've just recovered from a serious illness. You've arranged so many classes for me at once. What if I get sick from exhaustion again? Me too, me too. Although my leg has recovered, it's still very fragile. The doctor also said that I have to recuperate well and not overwork myself. Let's just forget about the classes, shall we? Su Yiyin looked at the two people who were avoiding her like the plague. She raised her chin slightly and chuckled. Now you're afraid? It's too late. I'm the one who treated your illness. Your leg injury only looks serious. Young people recover quickly. You've been recuperating for more than half a year and are as strong as bulls. I'm just asking you to attend a few more classes. I'm not asking for your lives. There's no room for discussion. The two of them opened their mouths and wanted to refuse. Su Yiyin narrowed her eyes and dared to bare her teeth and threaten them before they could speak. If you continue, I'll add a few more classes. The two of them knew that she might really say it. They were instantly discouraged and secretly cursed in their hearts. Bad boss, Zhou Yin, evil capitalist, exploiter. While the two of them were depressed, Yun Luoshan held a sky-blue ball in her hand. She turned her head and asked Su Yiyin hesitantly, Su? President Su, can I take a picture with the baby? Su Yiyin's lips curled slightly. She left the two fuming people behind and walked to the other side of the stroller. She touched her baby's soft and meaty little hand and said, Sure. Yun Luoshan's eyes lit up slightly. Yu Yushir also recovered from her initial depression. She walked to her side and skillfully put her arms on her shoulders like a koala hugging a tree. Can I post it online? Yes, but you can't show your face. Understood. Thank you, boss. Su Yiyin was so angry that she almost laughed. At this time she knew that she was her boss. When Ning Chirue heard that the two girls wanted to take a photo with the baby, he did not want to be left out and came over to take a photo. They stayed in Su Yiyin's office for about an hour. They were worried that they might affect Su Yiyin's work, so they left. Before she left, Yu Yushir mysteriously moved closer to Su Yiyin. Actually, my sister agreed to let me stay. Other than me wanting to stay, there's another reason. What is the reason? It's you, boss. Me? That's right. My sister said that although our company is small, boss, you look like the kind of person who is very protective of people. As long as I don't cause any trouble and work hard to make money for the company. Even if someone dares to bully me, boss, you will definitely protect me and not let anyone bully me. After all, I'm from the East City. Before you hit a dog, you have to look at its owner. Su Yiyin looked at Yu Yushir with a subtle expression. So you think you're a dog? Yu Yushir, it's just a metaphor, a metaphor. Yu Yushir was stunned. Just an oh and nothing else? This reaction was not right. She had sacrificed so much and self-deprecated to the point that her race had changed. Shouldn't someone be a little more touched? As if reading Yu Yushir's inner thoughts, Su Yiyin chuckled. Don't think that you can skip class by saying something nice. I'll ask Brother Junxing to send you the class schedule later. Have a good class, otherwise. F***ck, her flattery was for nothing. Chapter 865. Since Su Yiyin said that she could post the photo online, Yu Yushir naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity to show off her baby. She simply edited the photo, blocked the baby's small face with a big yellow sun, and posted it with a caption. The boss brought the little prince to the company for an inspection today. The little prince is super cute. His little face is chubby and has small dimples. He smiles when I tease him. He looks like a little angel. Not only did Yu Yushir post it herself, but she also wanted Yun Luoshan to accompany her. Of course, Yun Luoshan would not refuse her pleas. She followed up with a similar post, but the picture blocking the baby in the group photo was replaced with an oversized sunflower. The two of them had a wave of fun showing off other people's babies and put this matter to the back of their minds. They did not expect that it would cause a storm of public opinion after this. Not long after Yun Luoshan posted this post, Ning Chirue happened to post a similar post. In the photo, a particularly large pink heart was used to block the baby's big face. Because of this heart, the anti-fans who saw Ning Chirue's post instantly had other thoughts. So, half an hour later, Ning Chirue and Yun Luoshan's agents called each of them at the same time to ask them what was going on with the post on the internet. What do you mean what's going on? It literally means that the boss brought the little prince to the company today. I had nothing to do, so I went up to take a look, played with the baby, took a picture and posted it to my fans. What happened? Nothing else? What else can there be? Go and see for yourself. Someone stared at your photo and created a scandal for you. Scandal? Ning Qiruwei was extremely shocked. He did not understand how he could create a scandal after just posting a post. As a result, Ning Qiruwei was completely dumbfounded. And Yun Luoshan? See. How did I get involved with Yun Luoshan? Although we are in the same company, I haven't spoken more than 5 sentences to her. How could this cause a scandal? It's all your fault for the picture in your post. You could have posted any picture, but you had to post a heart. You're an adult, don't you know the meaning of love? Ning Qiruwei was shocked. He did not expect that a small picture he had casually posted would make people think in that direction. She was really bored. I didn't think too much about it. I just thought that the boss's children were really cute. I really liked them, so I pasted a heart pattern on them. Who knew that they would? Instead of being comforted, Ning Qiruwei's agent became even angrier. Can't you use your brain before you do anything? You think that you're pasting the heart because you like the little crown prince, but in the eyes of others, you're confessing to the child's mother. The child's mother? Wasn't it Yun Luoshan? How is it related to the boss again? You took a picture of the boss doll and pasted the doll's face. How can it not be related to the boss? It's also thanks to your fans that you've pulled the wind towards Yun Luoshan. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the scandal between you and Yun Luoshan that's hanging on the news right now. Instead, it would be the breaking news that you've been suspected of cheating on your boss's husband. Ning Qiruwei. What the hell? I didn't, don't talk nonsense. I'm innocent with the boss. Chapter 866. It turned out that not long after Ning Qiruwei posted that post, his opponent's anti-fans and Dongqing's internet water army were collectively mobilized. They began to shift the topic to Ning Qiruwei's relationship with President Su, the boss of Dongqing University, and whether the two had any personal relationship. They then extended to whether Ning Qiruwei and Su Yayan had any relationship beyond that of a superior and subordinate. They even suspected that this child might be the product of Su Yayan's affair. After all, before this, there were rumors that although Su Yayan's husband's legs had recovered, he might not be able to function well in certain aspects. Who knew if this child was a cuckold? However, in the eyes of Ning Qiruwei's fans, these comments were the worst rumors and framing. Their brother was so good and outstanding. How could he be a third party when he knew that she was a married woman? Moreover, this child looked to be 2 or 3 months old. Back then, their brother was still sick and actively cooperating with the treatment. Even so, they still spread rumors that he had an affair with the boss and destroyed the boss's family. These internet water army anti-fans were really heartless. What's more, are all of you scum who spread rumors blind? Their female colleague from the same company as them had posted a similar status a few minutes ago. Why did she focus on their brother alone? Did they really think that their brother was easy to bully? The rebuttals from the fans were reasonable and well-founded. They directly hammered down this rumor that was full of mistakes and loopholes. It couldn't even float anymore. The anti-fans and internet water army were really unwilling to let such a great opportunity slip away from their hands. Since they could not start the rumor that Ning Qiruwei and Su Yiyan's relationship was not simple, they turned to Yun Luoshan and Ning Qiruwei's post. They began to vaguely hint that the relationship between the two was ambiguous and suspected of exposing their relationship. Ning Qiruwei figured out the whole story and was dumbfounded. Wait a minute, are they too blind? Look at the time of the post. It's obvious that Yu Yushir was the first to post. Why are the two of us being spread rumors while she was the first to post it? When the agent heard this, his eyebrows raised. What? You still want to have a scandal with her? How is that possible? I have a girlfriend. Oh, you're proud of having a girlfriend behind my back, aren't you? No. The manager snorted. The reason why the rumors spread about you and Yun Luoshan is because you and her are slightly more famous. Although Ning Qiruwei had disappeared from the public eye for more than half a year due to his treatment, he had already debuted and had a certain fan base before that. He was considered a popular young star that the company had promoted. As for Yun Luoshan, because the previous variety show came to the end, she temporarily formed a small girl group with 2 other female artists in the company. They signed a 1-year contract which was about to expire soon. Because of the talent show, Dongqing City was considered a relatively large investor. In the end, they formed a group. Although it was only for a year, Dongqing City gave a lot of resources to this small group. Therefore Yun Luoshan had accumulated some fame in about a year. No matter what, she was more popular than Yu Yushi, who had been injured for 100 days and was forced to withdraw from the show due to her injury. Ning Chirue's scandal was obviously caused by the other companies. In that case, of course, they had to choose two more famous companies to deal with. To put it bluntly, red was the original sin. If it wasn't red, it would be a protective color. Who cared who got it first? Ning Chirue, who had learned the truth, was speechless. He did not know whether to sympathize with her or envy her. Chapter 867. Like Ning Chirue, Yu Yushi and Yun Luoshan also received the news one after another after the incident on the internet. After learning that the Internet Water Army's anti-fans had skipped her and paired Yun Luoshan and Ning Chirue together, Yu Yushi was in a bad mood. It's a three-person movie, but I don't deserve to have a name? What? Under the explanation of her and Yun Luoshan's common manager, the two of them understood the twists and turns in this matter, and the atmosphere suddenly became subtle. Yun Luoshan, Yu Yushi. So what if she was a mess? She was a mess now, not forever. When her new drama came out, she must ruthlessly slap the faces of these snobs who worshipped the powerful and trampled on the weak. Sister Yushi. Yun Luoshan looked at Yu Yushi nervously and worriedly, afraid that she would be angry because of this matter. Yu Yushi was indeed angry, but not at her. Why are you looking at me like that? Although these Internet Water Army marketing accounts that stir up trouble all day long and wish for the world to be in chaos are indeed annoying, if it weren't for you in front of me, there would be rumors about me and that idiot Ning Chirue. I'm afraid I would die of disgust. The disdain on Yu Yushi's face was too obvious. Yun Luoshan chuckled, and her heart was also relieved. The manager was also amused by the two of them. Did the two of you get the main point wrong? The focus now shouldn't be on how to deal with this matter. The two of them blushed at her words, but soon Yu Yushi frowned and complained, these people really have nothing better to do. It's just two photos, and they're even photos with the child, and they can relate it to a romance. Besides, even if these people are blind and can't see me, they actually turned a blind eye to such a big and cute baby in the photo. That's the little prince, the boss's little prince. If the child is there, the child's mother will naturally be there too. Which artiste would dance in front of the boss when they're in love? Do they want to die fast enough? Isn't looking at photos and writing words the best at this group of people? What can't they do for popularity? Not to mention that the timing of your development was coincidental. Even if you were to develop it separately, they would still be able to give you a seamless fit. Do you believe me? At this point, the manager could not help but roll his eyes. As for that little doll, in our eyes it's a little prince, but in the eyes of these vampires, it's the same model. This proves that the two of them have been in the same frame before. Yun Luoshan. Using the little crown prince as the same model, should she sigh at how imaginative these people were? Or should she marvel at how audacious they were? Yu Yushi choked, and the disgust in her eyes intensified. What should we do now? Don't you think it's too late to ask this now? The manager glanced at Yu Yushi in disdain and sighed. The public relations department has already thought of an appropriate solution. The two of them looked at each other and asked curiously, what is it? The idea that the public relations department came up with, or rather, it was proposed by some of the artistes in the company who were itching to go to the office to see the little prince. It was very simple, and that was to make the sunbathing of the baby into the company's collective welfare event. Weren't those paid posters blind and could not see Yu Yushi? Then find a few people who were similar to Ning Chirue, or even higher than him, to go to Su Yiyen's office to take a photo with the child and post it. It would be a waste not to take advantage of the popularity that came knocking on their door. Since it had already come to this point, it was just the right time to create a collective hype for the entire company. Chapter 868. As a result, at least 20 people came in and out of Su Yiyen's office that morning. The threshold was almost broken. From popular actors like Luo Weibing and Shui Kaiwei to new artists like Jing Qiuying and Huang Zitong, the originally bright office was like a cave. Su Yiyen looked at these people who were staring at her baby with shining eyes. She only felt that her baby was like the meat of Tang Sang on the chopping board, surrounded by a group of demons and ghosts who were drooling over it. That scene was not an ordinary eyesore. Fortunately, there weren't many popular artistes in the company at this time. Some of the artistes who could vaguely see the benefits of this hype also wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to share a piece of the pie and take advantage of the popularity. Unfortunately, they were stopped before they could go up. The reason was, What's the use of going up? Didn't you see that even if a certain someone posted, those marketing accounts would pretend that they didn't see anything? You're not even as famous as her. You'll only be asking for humiliation if you go up. Stop it. This caused many artistes to resent you, Yusher. They didn't resent her for being lucky but for being useless. If she could work harder and let those marketing accounts who look down on people create a love triangle topic, it would prove that small artistes like them also had public opinion value. They might be able to follow her up today and take advantage of the popularity. Sigh. After learning the truth, a certain someone who felt that she had been shot even though she was lying down. I've given you guys face, but you can't blame yourself for not being able to take advantage of the popularity. You're blaming me for not being able to take advantage of it. I'm so angry. It was worth mentioning that because of this photo incident, Su Yiyin saw another pillar of the company for the first time since she joined the company, Heavenly King Hong Hui. This Heavenly King, who had been crowned as a king in the music industry 4 or 5 years ago, was only in his early 30s. He looked very upright and had a cold temperament that kept people thousands of miles away. He had only debuted for 7 or 8 years, but the reason why he was able to defeat a bunch of seniors and quickly become a king was because, other than his handsome face that even anti-fans couldn't get mad at, he was extremely exaggerated. Even now, no one could match his wide vocal range. Su Yiyin had seen this person's profile and thought that he was a cold and aloof person who was not easy to get along with. However, when she really got to know him, she realized that under his cold and aloof appearance, there might not be a cold and aloof soul. He could also be hiding a simple-minded person. When Hong Hui went upstairs, Su Yiyin had just sent off a group of young ladies who had come to see the baby. She pointed at her son's little nose and complained, "Little pervert, you only know how to smile at the young ladies and ignore the young men. When you grow up, you'll definitely be a playboy." Aha! Little Xingxing thought that his mother was playing with him. He kicked his little legs and giggled. It was at this moment that Hong Hui entered Su Yiyin's office. Hearing the child's tender laughter, this cool guy who was known as the dream lover of countless fangirls blinked and stopped in his tracks. When Su Yiyin heard the noise, he looked up and saw someone standing at the door. He asked uncertainly, "Hong Hui?" Although she had never seen him in person, she had seen his photos. "Yes. Do you have something to say?" "I came up to see the child." Su Yiyin didn't doubt him. She thought that his agent had heard about the things on the internet and asked him to come over to help. "The child is here. Luo Weibing and the others just played with him for a while. I saw that he was a little sleepy. If you came later, the baby might have fallen asleep." Chapter 869. Hong Hui nodded and walked to the side of the pram. Looking at the soft little guy inside, his originally cold and hard eyes gradually softened. Su Yiyin saw this scene and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Before he could say anything, he heard a burst of cheerful laughter. The two adults in the room were stunned. Su Yiyin looked at his own child for the first time, and confirmed that he was really smiling at Hong Hui. He was deeply surprised. "Child, you're smiling. Look carefully, this is a little brother, not a little sister." Little Xingxing turned a deaf ear to him and smiled even more happily. Su Yiyin looked at him and then at Hong Hui standing on the other side of the stroller. He finally confirmed that his child was really smiling at him. This was strange. "Xingxing seems to like you very much. So many people came and went today, but he only smiled at girls and only stared at boys. No matter how much I teased him, he didn't smile. Even when Luo Weibing, who looked the most handsome, just held him, he didn't smile. He just reached out and patted his face." Unexpectedly, he made an exception for Hong Hui. At the thought of this, Su Yiyin's eyes couldn't help but stay on Hong Hui's face for a while. He didn't quite understand what his child saw in this person. If someone with a more sensitive mind heard Su Yiyin's words, they might think that the little guy didn't know people and mistook him for a girl. Hong Hui was not such a person. When he heard Su Yiyin's words, his eyes lit up and he asked carefully, "Can I hold him?" The little guy was held 2 or 3 times today. Su Yiyin didn't want people to touch him again, but the little guy obviously liked Hong Hui very much. Su Yiyin hesitated for a moment and agreed, "Yes." But some people's next requests began to become strange. "Can I touch him?" "Yes." "Can't you touch him after you hold him?" "Then can I kiss him?" This is best not to." "Then can I take him home?" "Su Yiyin?" "No." "Oh, Su Yiyin. What are you trying to do by looking so reluctant and pitiful? Those who don't know might think that my child is yours. You shameless strange uncle, stay away from my baby." Just as Su Yiyan raised the alarm and was ready to drive this child thief out of the office, a figure hurriedly ran in from the outside. The moment he saw Hong Hui, he was helpless and angry. "You really are here." When he saw the child in Hong Hui's arms, he was so scared that he almost lost his soul. "Why are you carrying a child? Put the child down, put him down." When Su Yiyan heard his words, she became even more nervous. Could it be that this guy really had the tendency to steal children? Just as he was about to snatch the child back, he heard Hong Hui's manager shout in confusion, "The little prince actually didn't cry?" This shout startled the baby, who was about to fall asleep with his eyes closed, and he opened his eyes in a daze. Hong Hui's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly and clumsily shook the child, and his sharp eyes flew towards the manager. Su Yiyan was also a little unhappy. She frowned and said, "My baby doesn't like to cry. Do you have a problem with that?" Hong Hui's manager? "What's going on? I just came up to stop this black-faced god and save an innocent child from suffering. How did I become the bad guy? This development is not right." Chapter 870. The manager was stunned for a few seconds before he finally understood the situation. He said awkwardly, "Hello, Mr. Su. I'm Hong Hui's manager, Su Yangwei." Su Yiyan was stunned. "Yang? What?" Su Yangwei's expression stiffened. He tried to explain, "Yang from a poplar tree and Wei from a great one. My father's surname is Su, and my mother's surname is Yang. They hope that I can be a great person in the future, so they gave me this name." Su Yiyan looked at him sympathetically. "You've worked hard all these years." Su Yangwei almost cried on the spot. All these years, because of this name, he had to bear everything by himself. "So, you two have a fight?" "Ahem, no. I'm just afraid that he'll come up and make the child cry." Su Yiyan was slightly stunned. "Make the child cry?" Su Yangwei glanced at Hong Hui, who was hugging little Xingxing, and said awkwardly, "It's like this. Don't be fooled by Hong Hui's tall and stern appearance. Actually, he really likes children." But children didn't like him. Those ignorant little brats who had just been born not long ago didn't know anything. How could they know whether a man was handsome or not? When they saw his sullen face, they immediately cried loudly. They didn't even dare to open their eyes, let alone let him hold them. He was like an ancient killing machine used to stop children from crying at night. "I've heard about the small artists in the company. The public relations department also called me and asked if Hong Hui was willing to come up and join in the fun." Su Yangwei said with a bitter expression. "Of course Hong Hui is willing. But if he puts his face in front of the little prince, who knows? Would the little prince cry on the spot?" There was no parent who didn't love their children. Even if Su Yiyan was reasonable and knew that he couldn't blame Hong Hui for this. But if it really came to this point, it wouldn't look good on anyone. It would be better if he didn't come up in the first place. However, he didn't expect that after he had told a certain someone to stop him from going upstairs, the person would disappear in the blink of an eye. Su Yangwei reacted quickly and rushed upstairs immediately. However, he didn't expect that what he was worried about didn't happen. Instead, he saw the little prince lying obediently in Hong Hui's arms and yawning. The scene was actually a little warm. What the hell? After listening to Su Yangwei's explanation, Su Yiyan knew that Hong Hui only liked children and did not have any ulterior motives. She was relieved. The baby likes him quite a lot. He wasn't scared by him. He even smiled at him just now. When Su Yangwei heard Su Yiyan's words, he was a little surprised. He thought to himself that the little prince was indeed the little prince. He was braver than the average child. He was not afraid of the black-faced god at all. After figuring out the whole story, Su Yiyan glanced at the baby who was sleeping soundly in Hong Hui's arms with a subtle expression. She didn't expect that this seemingly serious and cold man who could sweep away the hearts of many girls would have the potential to be a stay-at-home dad. "The baby is asleep. Give him back to me." As Su Yiyan spoke, she reached out to Hong Hui and asked him to return the child to her. Hong Hui looked at the child and then looked at Su Yiyan. He didn't move. He likes me." Hong Hui reluctantly moved little Xingxing to Su Yiyan at a speed that was almost invisible to the naked eye. He didn't give up and said, "Can't I carry him home?" Chapter 871. The blue veins on Su Yiyan's forehead bulged. Without thinking, she snatched the child back. "No." After saying that, she still felt that it was not enough to vent her anger. She added fiercely, "Give birth to it yourself." As soon as Su Yiyan said that, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became subtle. Just when Su Yiyan felt a little guilty and felt that her words were too heartless, she heard Hong Hui say faintly, "I can't give birth to it." When someone said this, his eyes were still staring in the direction of little Xingxing. He looked like a large dog that could not get its favorite toy and wanted to pounce on her son at any moment. "Su Yiyan? Of course you can't give birth to it alone. If you want to have a child, you have to find a girlfriend first. A single dog without a girlfriend dares to think about the baby. You want to eat sh*t? Get out of here." Su Yiyan was once again sure that although this person had no malice toward her baby, he was also the super reserve in the whole company who was most likely to steal a child. In order to prevent her child from being stolen, after Hong Hui took a photo with her child, Su Yiyan decisively asked Su Yangwei to take the child away quickly with her eyes. Fortunately, Su Yangwei was quite helpful. He dragged the big silly boy away who wanted to take root in Su Yiyan's office and looked back repeatedly as he left. After the uninvited guest left, the office finally returned to its original tranquility. Su Yiyan breathed a long sigh of relief. Looking at the baby sleeping soundly in the stroller, she pinched his chubby little leg and smiled faintly. "You little guy are quite charming. You've only been here for a day and you've already caused me so much trouble. It seems that I can't bring you to the company often in the future. You know how to attract bees and butterflies at such a young age. What will happen when you grow up?" Woo! In his sleep, little Xingxing struggled a little to show his resistance. It was unknown whether it was because he was uncomfortable being caught or because he did not agree with Su Yiyan's words. Seeing this, Su Yiyan felt helpless and amused. She leaned over and kissed him fiercely. At that time, Dongqing City's public relations had begun to take effect. Luo Weibing, Shui Kaiwei, Huang Zitong and others jumped out one after another to participate in the photo-sharing activity. Even Hong Hui, whose public account was full of weeds all year round and he didn't get a single update for months, also joined in the fun. The fans of the artists were celebrating together. There was no need for the water army to guide them. Whether it was the fans or the passers-by, they all spontaneously characterized this photo posting as a group gathering of the company's employees. As the company's CEO, Su Yiyan brought her son to attend the event. Relying on her own abilities, she helped the little prince gather the high-definition autographs of all the well-known artists under her company for a group photo. At this time, no one continued to discuss the so-called relationship between Ning Chirui and Yun Luoshan. There were only a large number of corresponding artists and fans who were sour in the comments section of their idols. So, in the past, I only knew that rich people fell quickly. Today I finally know that rich people fall quickly. It's really unimaginable for us commoners. The little prince who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth was not even a year old, but he was able to take a group photo with his brothers and sisters in the company and debut in the center position. The girl who chased after him shed sour tears. Previous poster, you're wrong. Rich people might not be able to do this. At the end of the day, you still need a powerful mother. Look, Zai Zai, this is the country that mother has built for you. These little brothers and sisters are the harem that mother has prepared for you. Ha ha, it's that smell. Is it just my illusion? Why do I feel that my Hui Hui in the little prince's photo is particularly infatuated? The way they look at the baby is like frying chicken with warm oil. Brother, do you still remember your cold and domineering straight man persona? Chapter 872. It's not just your brother. The young men and women who took photos with the little prince all looked at him tenderly and infatuatedly. Okay? A bunch of weird uncles and aunties. Let go of that kid and let me do it. Ha ha, President Su's kid is really cute and fat. I've been chasing after my idol for so many years, but I still can't get him. Is it because I lack such a cute kid? For a while, hashtag Dongqing artist group photo with the little prince hashtag Star Chaser hashtag the youngest C in history hashtag I'm only one kid away from my idol hashtag, and other strange hashtags quickly climbed to the top of the real-time discussion list. Not only did it cover the previous so-called relationship discussion to the bottom, but it also allowed some artists in Dongqing, who had not appeared in public for various reasons, to come out and show their faces. They did not have to worry about being ridiculed and stepped on for hype. It was really killing three birds with one stone. Those rival companies who had intended to take this opportunity to smear the new blood of Dongqing were not stupid. Seeing that the trend was not right, they quickly stopped. Because they stopped in time, they did not suffer too much impact. It was just that they had spent a lot of manpower and financial resources to smear people in the early stage. In the end, they did not manage to smear people, but instead they made a wedding dress for others. It was not easy to swallow this, so they could only silently suffer internal injuries. Luo Weibing, Shui Kaiwei, and Hong Hui were relatively important figures. Usually, any one of them was a relatively popular topic, not to mention that it involved Ning Chirui and the other freshmen. When the fans of various families gathered together, they attracted almost half of the traffic on the entire network. They occupied half of the discussion list, and it was difficult to ignore. As the overall person in charge of the live broadcast platform, Yuzian had always been sensitive to such things. He had just finished a meeting with others when he saw these hot topics. He followed the clues and roughly understood the whole story. After that, he decisively integrated these news and pushed it to Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan received the message from Yuzian and thought that he had found something again. When she clicked on it, she saw that her big baby's office had become a place for online celebrities to punch in, and her little baby had become a photo-taking tool for these stars. Huo Chenhuan? What did you guys do to my wife and child? What are these? Yuzian didn't expect that Huo Chenhuan would directly video call him. He touched his nose guiltily and said with a smile, "Young madam took the little prince to the company today. I heard that all the artists in the company were very curious about the little prince. They all ran to young madam's office to see the little prince." In the end, without exception, they were all subdued by the little prince's charm. They took photos and posted them on the internet, causing a craze. Huo Chenhuan raised her eyebrows and asked, "Was it spontaneous or premeditated?" It should have been spontaneous in the early stages, but it was used by some unscrupulous things and caused some trouble. These people were probably arranged by young madam's company on purpose. However, looking at the expressions of these people when they took photos with the little prince, they should be sincere. After all, the little crown prince is so cute and loves to smile. It's impossible for anyone not to like him. That was true. Huo Chenhuan looked a little better. No one disliked others praising their children, and Huo Chenhuan was no exception. However, his attention was quickly attracted by the first half of Yuzian's sentence. "Cause some trouble? What trouble?" Chapter 873. Yuzian thought back to the melon he ate not long ago, and the corners of his mouth twitched. "This is a little complicated. I'll just send it to you directly." Yuzian hung up the video call and ran away. He only sent the initial marketing draft to Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan clicked on it and saw that someone was spreading rumors that she had been cuckolded. Her face turned green. Su Yiyan took advantage of the time when the baby was asleep to deal with some backlog of work. Then she saw her husband send her an emoticon. "Yin loves Huo the most in the world, Dun Dun loving little buttocks." JP. Su Yiyan almost choked on her water when she saw the emoticon. She suddenly remembered that she had used Dun Dun to flirt with a certain someone when they first chatted. "Yin loves you the most in the world, loved by you. Did you miss me?" The system's background would change to Hua Hua and hearts based on the keywords typed by the person talking. Huo Chenhuan looked at the screen full of little hearts, and her eyes couldn't help but soften. "Yin loves you the most in the world. What are you doing?" "Yin loves you the most in the world. Work?" Puppy eyes begging for petting. JPG. As soon as Huo Chenhuan saw the puppy eyes, she couldn't help but think of Su Yiyan hugging the little guy, one big and one small, looking at her with eager eyes. Her heart immediately melted into a puddle of water. "Yin loves you the most in the world. Petting dog head." JPG. Do you have a lot of work? Don't tire yourself out. If you can't handle it, get your subordinates to help. If you don't want to work, go home. I'll make money to feed you and the baby. Other than the emoticon finally being a little richer, a certain someone's tone was still as serious as ever. But it was this seriousness that made people feel that he really took her to heart. Every word he said was not mixed with a trace of a joke. Su Yiyan's face was slightly red, but her eyes were astonishingly bright. "Yin who loves you most in the world, actually it's okay. Baby can't do much with me around. I didn't do anything other than meeting a few people this morning." "Well, who loves Yin the most in the world? Who did you meet?" Su Yiyan didn't want to hide anything from Huo Chenhuan. He quickly told her everything that happened this morning. He even emphasized to Huo Chenhuan that Hong Hui was a reserve member who stole children. "Yin loves you most in the world. I've only heard of him before, but I've never seen him before." At first, he thought that he was a particularly cold and serious old cadre. Who would have thought that he was just a silly guy who wanted to steal other people's babies all day long? The Yin who loves you the most, you don't know how outrageous he is. He held our baby and asked me if he could touch and kiss him. Our baby is only a month old. He kissed and touched the baby. Isn't he a pervert? Huan. Although it did sound a little outrageous, it was precisely because the baby was only a month old that adults thought it was cute that they wanted to kiss and touch him. In all fairness, he felt that the person who was called a pervert was a little wronged. Yin who loves you the most in the world, that's not all. He even asked me if he could take the baby home twice. Our baby is not a toy. How can I let him take it home just because he said so? Yin who loves you the most in the world, the baby is the same. Luo Weibing and the others tried their best to tease him and please him, but he didn't even want to move the corners of his mouth. But he smiled like a flower at this guy. I wonder if he has some masochistic tendencies. Huan. How can you talk about your own child like that? Chapter 874. Su Yiyan's complaints came one after another. Huan could feel her depression and jealousy through the screen. Yin loves you the most in the world. Luckily, this little heartless boy was already asleep when he left. Otherwise, he might have really run away with someone else if I had said a few more words to coax him. Her sour words were full of resentment and sadness that her son was about to run away with someone else. Huan's lips curled up slightly. She had long forgotten about the unhappiness from before and comforted her instead. Yin loves you the most in the world, don't be angry. Maybe he's just curious because other children are afraid of him but our baby isn't. Our baby is still too young and doesn't know anything. When he's older and knows how to recognize people, he might cry like other babies when he sees him. When that happens, he'll definitely lose interest in our baby. Su Yiyan thought about it and felt that Huan's words made sense, but Yin loves you the most in the world. If that's the case, he seems a little pitiful. He likes children so much, but in the end the child cries whenever he sees him. It's not easy for him to meet someone who isn't afraid of him, but when he's a little older he'll be beaten back to his original state. Tsk, what a pitiful man. Huan couldn't help but laugh when she saw this. Yin loves you the most in the world, so do you want him to think about our baby all the time and reach out to steal our baby at any time? Or do you want him to give up? Even though he's pitiful, at least he's safe? Yin loves you the most in the world. Then let him continue to be pitiful. It was an expected answer, but she couldn't help but sympathize with a certain someone from the bottom of her heart. After listening to Su Yiyan's nagging, Huan recalled the rumors that Yu Ziyan had sent to her. Her eyes flickered slightly as she asked without leaving a trace. Yin loves you the most in the world. I heard that you were surrounded when you took the baby to the company today. A lot of people even took photos of you and the baby and posted them online. The young master of the Ning family even caused some trouble because of this. Su Yiyan immediately smelled a hint of jealousy from Huan's subtle probing. She thought of how those internet celebrities who wanted to stir up trouble had slandered her and Ning Chirue in the beginning, and there was a hint of a smile in her eyes. Yin who loves you most in the world. Jealous? Hua loves Yin most in the world? Baby is angry. JPG. Hua who loves Yin the most in the world? Yeah. Yin who loves you the most in the world? Don't be angry, those are all fake. Don't you know whose child the baby is? Hands on hips. Hua who loves Yin the most in the world? Of course I know that. I just don't like other men's names being listed together with yours. You even saved him and helped him. Who knows what he thinks of you? Huan did not think so much at first, but now the more he spoke, the sadder he felt. Especially when he saw the screen full of photos of various artists, a certain someone's heart was like an old vinegar that had been around for more than 10 years. Su Yiyan was stunned when she saw his reply. She was inexplicably glad that she was not drinking water now. Otherwise, she would not be able to keep the table full of documents. Yin who loves you the most in the world? The more you say, the more ridiculous it is. I'm not a goddess. How can so many people like me? Huan's eyes were slightly cold. He thought to himself, that's not necessarily true. At least as far as I know, there is a blind man who is still thinking about my wife. Yin who loves you the most in the world? Besides, he already has a girlfriend. Aren't you afraid that his girlfriend will find out and come after you for being jealous? Chapter 875. Huan did not think of this and was stunned for a while before he came back to his senses. Yin loves Hua the most in the world? He has a girlfriend? Yin loves you the most in the world. Well, you know her too. She's the girl who delivered fruits to Director Luo's house when I went to see him. Her name is Xia Ningxi, and she's also the scriptwriter of the costume drama that our company filmed before. Ning Chirue played a supporting role in that drama, and the two of them got to know each other after a while. It's said that they just confirmed their relationship not long ago and are now in the honeymoon period. When Huo Chenhuan saw that his wife was so detailed, he knew that he really thought too much. Just as he was wondering how to make up for his previous stupidity, he saw Su Yiyan send another message. Yin loves you the most in the world, are you still angry? Yin loves you the most in the world. I'm not angry anymore. Yin loves you the most in the world, but I'm angry. JPG, Su Yiyan's sentence was accompanied by a cartoon picture of a bun face. Because of his anger, the bun face in the picture looked even rounder, making people want to poke it twice. Huo Chenhuan thought so and did so. Unfortunately, this picture was not holographic. No matter how he poked it, he could only poke the hard screen, which made his heart itch even more. He missed them, wanted to see them, and wanted to poke the little dimples on their faces with his own hands. Yin loves you the most in the world. Caress, then what can I do to make you not angry? As soon as Huo Chenhuan sent this message, Su Yiyan immediately replied. It was a somewhat familiar emoji, a cartoon character falling to the ground, and a few words floated on the side. The baby fell down, he needs to be kissed, hugged, and raised high before he gets up. Huo Chenhuan was startled when he saw this picture, and the smile in his eyes deepened. After Su Yiyan posted the picture, he waited for a long time but did not receive a reply from Huo Chenhuan. Just as he was about to get up to see how the little girl was sleeping, he heard a ding-dong sound and a familiar sticker popped up. In the picture, a middle-aged man in his early 40s was hugging his 5 or 6-year-old daughter. He threw her up and caught her, kissing and hugging her. Su Yiyan was unsurprisingly amused by the old cadre's emoji. She recalled the silly look on someone's face when she had just been reborn. She could not help but laugh and scold, "Idiot. The Yin who loves you most in the world. Come home early tonight and make something delicious for the big baby." It was followed by a high-definition photo of little Zhang Xingxing sleeping soundly with his fists clenched. Huo Chenhuan blushed slightly when she saw the words, "big baby." She turned around and called Yu Zian. Let the Public Relations Department send a lawyer's letter to those who spread rumors about the relationship between Yao Yao and Ning Chirue. Okay, do you need them to apologize publicly? Huo Chenhuan frowned. She thought that everyone was busy envying her son, and basically no one mentioned this matter. If these people came out to apologize, wouldn't it attract everyone's attention again? No. Huo Chenhuan paused and then seemed to think of something and added, "Ask for more money." Yu Zian did not understand what Huo Chenhuan meant for a moment. How much money could they get from this kind of reputation lawsuit? Raising a child is expensive. I have to save more money for our little Xingxing's milk powder. Otherwise Yen will be angry. Yu Zian was speechless. He understood now. Young master was simply showing off his love for the baby. Chapter 876. It had to be said that the little guy was indeed much more obedient and less worrisome than other children his age. After staying with Su Yiyan for a day at the company, other than crying when he was hungry or when he needed to pee, he could basically play happily by himself and didn't need anyone to deliberately accompany him. Of course, he didn't wake up much. After drinking milk and playing for a while, he would be in a daze again, so he basically didn't disturb Su Yiyan. On the other hand, Su Yiyan couldn't help but want to look at the child whenever she thought about how the child was not far away from her after finishing work. Time always passed very quickly when she looked at the child. She spent a short day leisurely sucking on the child, which was more addictive than any game. When it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Su Yiyan realized that she had been busy the whole day and had only finished 1/3 of her work. Her efficiency had greatly decreased. She simply threw the remaining 2/3 to Xia Junxing and left early with the child. Xia Junxing. He couldn't be angry. After all, she wasn't alone and still had to take care of the child. Anyway, he had nothing to do at home, so working overtime was fine. So I know he was still angry. He didn't want to work overtime. Su Yiyan didn't know that her role as a boss meant that a certain someone who was willing to work hard without complaint had to work overtime tonight to achieve results. She didn't tell Huo Chenhuan to go home early for dinner on the spur of the moment. The first batch of medicinal herbs planted at the research institute would be officially sold tomorrow. The department manager in charge of sales wanted Su Yiyan to open a live broadcast before the official sale, as an advance publicity. Su Yiyan didn't have any objections to this and casually agreed. During this period of time, the baby was mostly taken care of by Uncle Zhang and the nanny. He missed the baby very much after not seeing him for the whole day. When Su Yiyan came back with the child, Uncle Zhang immediately took the stroller and happily took the little guy to drink milk. Su Yiyan turned around and went into the small kitchen to open the live broadcast. As early as 2 hours ago, Su Yiyan had posted a small preview to inform in advance the content of tonight's live broadcast. At this moment, there were quite a few people waiting in the live broadcast room. Almost half of the website's traffic was attracted to it. Hello everyone, I'm your host Yan. The content of today's live stream has already been previewed in the previous live stream. There are also some announcements in the live stream. Those who don't understand can take a look first. I won't say more. Let's get to the point. Today I'm going to make 3 kinds of soup. The first is Hainan coconut chicken soup. The ingredients needed are coconut, chicken, red dates, walnuts, and so on. As Su Yiyan spoke, she quickly cut the coconut and chicken into pieces. The chicken pieces were first skinned with hot water. After that, he put the coconut chicken pieces, together with the red dates, walnuts, ginger slices, and other ingredients into the casserole. After the heat was brought to a boil, he lowered the heat to a simmer. Children's bodies are weak, so it's easy for them to be infected by parasites. The coconut meat and coconut juice have a certain insect repellent effect. It can repel roundworms and pinworms. When paired with the nutritious chicken, the brain and blood-nourishing walnuts and red dates, not only can it repel insects, but it can also strengthen the body. Children were young and weak. Without parents to look after them, it was not easy for them to develop good hygiene habits. It was indeed very easy for them to be infected with parasites, causing them to be weak and malnourished. There were some special insect repellents on the market, but children hated these bitter things. If it could cure diseases and nourish the body, it would naturally be best if they could eat delicious food that suited their taste. Chapter 877. Coconuts can be bought on the market. Red dates and walnuts will be officially sold tomorrow. Those who are interested can try to make it at home. Su Yiyan mentioned it casually and immediately started to prepare the second soup. Next we'll make pepper stewed pork tripe. The main ingredients are pepper and pork tripe. The pepper will be officially sold tomorrow. Those who are interested remember to buy it tomorrow. It could be said to be a coincidence if it was mentioned once, but it was mentioned twice in 2 short sentences. It was obviously a small advertisement. However, even though Su Yiyan was advertising in the live broadcast room, the attitude of the audience was relatively tolerant, but there was more or less a trace of resentment. I've confirmed it with my eyes. The host is indeed advertising. Sob, what advertising? If you don't advertise, you won't be able to catch the pre-sales. Who knows when the orders will be? Little Yan, please don't advertise. Copper ball. What about those little dregs who said they wouldn't buy it? Why are there still so many people fighting with me? This is not scientific. They really won't buy it just because they said they won't buy it? Upstairs, you're too naive. You know, our host is the only host on the internet with more than 8 digits of real-time online viewers. It's enough to pull a few people together to fight for it, not to mention that the stock for the first episode is so small. Instead of asking for no one to fight with you, it's better to ask for more stock. Upstairs, there are already too many monks and too little gruel. Why do you still want to advertise? If you have the ability to advertise, you have the ability to increase sales. Sob. Su Yiyan didn't expect that her small advertisement would attract so many complaints. She felt helpless and funny. However, the problem of stock wasn't something she could solve. She could only pretend that she didn't see anything and focus on cooking. Pork tripe has the effect of dispersing coldness and relieving urinary tract pain. When paired with cold-dispersing pepper, it has a certain relief effect on children who have weak spleen and stomach, weak bodies, and often catch cold and hiccup. The weather has been cold recently. When the babies sleep, they must cover their stomachs well. Otherwise, they will easily catch cold and hiccup. The children will suffer a lot. There's another thing to pay attention to. Children's stomachs are delicate. If the pork tripe isn't stewed, it will be very chewy and not suitable for digestion. That's why we have to stew it for a longer time until it's completely soft. That way the soup will be thicker and easier for the child to absorb. Stewing pork tripe with pepper was actually very easy to make. All you had to do was to cut the pork tripe into strips and put it into the casserole with pepper for 2 hours to completely stew the pork tripe. Lastly, I'll make some insect-repellent food, steamed meat for the nobleman. I've never used Rangoon creeper in my live stream before. It's a new type of medicinal herb that can kill roundworms and nourish the spleen and stomach. However, it's okay to eat a few occasionally, but it's best not to eat too much. After all, killing too many insects can easily cause some adverse reactions to the body and affect the health of the body. Su Yiyin peeled off the shell of the Rangoon creeper and took out the meat inside. At the same time, he took out a large piece of lean pork meat. The Junzi Research Institute should have already planted the seeds. It is estimated that the second or third batch will be seen. Viewers who have babies or are preparing to have babies can pay attention to this. As soon as Su Yiyin's voice fell, a rainbow-colored notification flew across the live broadcast room. It was a familiar meteor shower. Everyone took a closer look and unsurprisingly saw a familiar ID. Congratulations to the host, Yin Yin, for receiving a luxurious villa *1 sent by a loyal viewer, not even for a day. The boundless universe, the starry sky, I still love you the most. Chapter 878. Before the audience could react, another notification flashed across the top of the live broadcast room, and a meteor shower started. Congratulations to the host, Yin Yin, for receiving a luxurious villa from Mountain Yoryang. There are millions of stars in the universe, but in my heart, you will always be the brightest one. The audience in the live broadcast room instantly became excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Here it comes, here it comes. The two richest people in the live broadcast room have started a reward battle. Let the host see who is the brightest one in the live broadcast room. The two of them caused quite a commotion in the live broadcast room. Su Yiyin looked up and saw it. He squinted his eyes and pulled out two big sharp kitchen knives from the rack. Thank you for your generous rewards, let us deal with this piece of lean meat. As he said that, the two kitchen knives touched and with a clatter he sharpened the knife and chopped the pork. After a while, the sound of chopping meat could be heard in the live broadcast room and kitchen. The audience in the live broadcast room was obviously frightened by Su Yiyin's chopping of meat. After a long time, a comment slowly floated by. Why can't I see the host's face, but somehow I can imagine the cold smile on the host's face. Coupled with the sound of chopping meat and the meat on the chopping board, the back of my neck is cold. Oh my god, it's so scary. Seeing this comment, many people gave it a like, with deep understanding. Obviously they had the same thought as him. At that moment, the two people in the live broadcast room took advantage of this delicate moment to reward the villa, Huachenhuan, Do Qiani. So scary. They had no doubt that if they continued to reward in the live broadcast room like before, the meat on the chopping board would be theirs in the next second. With Su Yiyin's threat of chopping meat, the two of them knew when to stop. They sent a reward to prove that they had been there. After that, they were completely quiet and did not cause any more trouble. The audience was also able to watch the live broadcast properly and focus their attention on Su Yiyin's knife skills. The meat that the host chopped reminded me of the previous episode where the host made dumplings and buns. At that time, I felt that the meat filling was not that difficult to chop. Although the ingredients were expensive, it was not impossible to buy. I bought some back and made it myself, and then I cried. As soon as this comment was posted, it resonated with many people in the live broadcast room. It turned out that some things looked simple but were really difficult to do. The things that Su Yiyin made in the live broadcast room, from the earliest fried fish to the later dumplings, buns, steamed dumplings, all kinds of cake baking and ramen cooking. Everything looked very simple, but if you really learned how to make it, the finished product was often too horrible to look at. Many people had basically learned how to make soup after watching for so long. Furthermore, when making soup, the raw materials were basically cut automatically with the help of machines. Are you guys stupid? Don't you know that there's an automatic meat grinder? Chopping it yourself? If you don't have the skills of the host, why don't you just be a beginner? My baby is tired of drinking nutrient solutions and eating porridge is tasteless. He has been throwing a tantrum and refusing to eat for the past few days. His little face has lost a lot of weight. This meat patty looks very delicate. It should be a good supplement for the baby if it's crushed and softened. I've already placed an order. I'll start in a while. Chapter 879. Everyone was enlightened. That's right. If they couldn't do it, they could use other methods to do it. As long as they could eat delicious food in the end, it was fine. The streamer could do this because she was amazing. Noobs could only imitate the master's methods. They had to find a way that suited them. Dear upstairs, why didn't you say so earlier? I feel like I missed out on a billion QAQ. The audience member who was being complained also laughed out of anger. He directly replied with a sentence across the air. How would I know that you guys couldn't think of such a simple solution? I thought everyone would know. Supercilious, supercilious. Many of the noobs who were excluded. I suspect that you're implying that we're stupid and we have evidence. In any case, this reminder gave many people who wanted to personally cook a new hope. That day, the number of orders for all kinds of cooking tools and ingredients skyrocketed. Not only were the old stocks in the hands of many merchants sold out, but they were also close to exploding due to the lack of supply. Su Yiyin probably didn't expect that a reminder from a certain audience member in the live broadcast room would indirectly promote the sales and development of gourmet-related industries. It was an unexpected surprise. While the audience was chatting and sighing, Su Yiyin had already chopped the whole piece of lean meat into digestible powder. She added the previously peeled junzi meat and seasoned it with some salt. Then she pinched out pieces of meat patties for later use. The junzi meat patties are ready. Next we just need to steam them. Now let's cook a bowl of longan porridge. The main ingredients of longan porridge are longan meat and red dates. These two things are sweet, so the porridge will also have a sweet taste. Children like to eat it. Some children will easily wake up from their sleep at night and cry non-stop. Even the adults won't be able to sleep well. The longan meat in this porridge can calm the nerves. Paired with the red dates, it can alleviate the symptoms of children crying at night to a certain extent. Su Yiyin quickly removed the seeds from the longan and red dates and boiled them in the rice. If you don't like longan and red dates, you can cook lily porridge with lily and lotus seeds. Lily and lotus seeds are both medicinal herbs that can calm the mind. Moreover, they also have some fragrance and are very refreshing to eat. Friends who like to eat sweet things can add more brown sugar to enhance the taste. At this point, the things that had to be done for the live stream were basically done. However, Su Yiyin did not stop there. Alright, that's all for the baby for now. Next, I'm going to make 2 dishes for the big baby. When Su Yiyin said this, everyone was stunned. Big baby? Baby? Didn't the streamer just give birth to a baby? Where did these babies come from? Could it be that the host gave birth to twins? How is this possible? If they were twins, then the 2 babies should be the same age. Wouldn't it be fine to cook the same thing? Why did they have to cook separately? I'm guessing that some relatives brought their children over as guests. That child is slightly older than the host's child, so he's a big baby. Your logic is too far-fetched. Doing it separately might not necessarily mean that the children were of different ages. It might just be that the babies had different tastes. It's just that the big baby doesn't like the food that the little baby eats. Who knows what a child's tastes are? There's nothing strange about that. Little baby, big baby. With this kind of sentence, haven't you guys thought that the big baby might be the little baby's biological father? Chapter 880. The last conjecture shocked the audience in the live broadcast room, but some people's hearts had already begun to waver. Su Yiyin naturally saw this comment and secretly sighed at the audience's sharp eyes. However, she did not answer the question directly. Instead, she brought out a big pot of frog. The audience, who had been discussing who this big baby was instantly shocked and lost their voices. What the hell is this? Oh my god, it's too ugly. So scary, so scary, so scary. The host can't be thinking of eating this, right? Are you sure it's not a dark cuisine? Horrified face. Although it's possible that the host can really turn something rotten into something magical, this is so ugly. I really refuse. Ugly rejection. Host, quickly put this thing away. I'm about to cry. Let me explain. This thing is called a toad. There was a saying in ancient Earth that a toad wants to eat swan meat. This is what it's talking about. It means that it's ugly and dares to covet beautiful food. It doesn't know what it's doing. Now that you mention it, I suddenly understand what it means. This thing is really ugly. Su Yiyin did not expect to see a screen full of toads when she looked up after processing the ingredients. She could not help but be confused. Toad? This is not a toad. Not a toad? But the picture in the ancient Earth Animal Encyclopedia is clearly very similar to this. Frog and toad do look alike, but they are really 2 different species. Toads have rough skin and many small lumps on their backs. These lumps contain poison, so they can't be eaten. Frog's skin is relatively smooth and there is no poison, so it can be eaten. Little cuties who can't tell the difference must not look for these ingredients for this one bite. Otherwise, if you eat the wrong thing, you will die. The stubbornness of a foodie was hard to imagine. It was better to clarify this kind of uncontrollable hidden danger in advance. Otherwise, if something really happened, Su Yiyan would inevitably have to bear some responsibility. Now that the host said this, I suddenly feel that this thing is not so hideous. At least it looks a little better than a toad. Su Yiyan saw that her audience began to comfort themselves without her saying anything, and even hypnotize themselves. She could not help but laugh. However, she was still very confident in this dry pot chicken. Although Froggy didn't look good, she believed that many people would like it when the finished product was made. Su Yiyan cut the large pot of frogs into pieces and marinated them with salt and cooking wine. Then he temporarily placed the pot of frogs in a place where they could not be seen. Even after countless psychological preparations, the audience still couldn't accept it. They heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that they could finally watch the live broadcast properly and enjoy the food without suffering any visual impact. The next second he saw Su Yiyan bring out a very ugly plate of rabbit heads. Everyone? *CK. What was that? Why did he look so scary? Mama, did I go to the wrong room? Fong, this is a rabbit head. Today I'm going to make a spicy rabbit head for everyone. Rabbit head? A rabbit's head? It was the one covered in white fur that was as soft as a cloud. The rabbit that has been ranked first on the list of cute creatures for several years? Bunnies are so cute. Why eat bunnies? QQ. When Su Yiyan saw this comment, she revealed an inexplicable evil smile. Bunnies are so cute. Should they be steamed or braised? Forget it, let's just make it spicy. Chapter 881. After saying that, she ignored the moaning in the livestream room and immediately opened the fire. She blanched the rabbit heads that were marinated in advance and filtered out the blood in them. After that, she opened the fire and used dried chili, spices, and various braised herbs to make a fragrant spicy gravy. Once the smell came out, the audience no longer cared about whether rabbits were cute or not. They just wanted to eat this fragrant gravy as soon as possible. It's here. The host's gravy. This smell is really fragrant. I'm almost drooling after smelling it. It's indeed quite similar, but it feels a little different from the ones that the host sold before. It's a little spicy. Is it because she added more chili? Spicy rabbit heads, spicy and spicy. Of course she has to add more chili to make it taste good. After Su Yiyan finished talking, she soaked the plate of rabbit heads in the gravy. Many viewers in front of the screen couldn't help but salivate when they saw this. At this time, the longan porridge was almost done. There was a thick layer of rice paste on the surface. Su Yiyan put the rangoon patty that she had prepared earlier on and steamed it while she was cooking the porridge. After that, the first pot of frogs was almost done marinating. She rinsed it with water to wash away the blood and impurities on the surface. Then she heated up the oil and added ginger, chili, and sauce until it was fragrant. She put the frogs in and stir-fried them. When the fragrance came out, she poured some fine wine along the side of the pot. As soon as the wine servant fell into the pot, it immediately mixed with the fragrant sauce below. With a whoosh, a fresh fragrance rushed out, causing the audience who had secretly made up their minds not to eat this dish to waver wildly. The smell, I suddenly feel like I can do it again. Hand, you can't. Brain, you can't. Mouth, you can. Before the dishes were finished, some people were already enjoying the fragrance. Unfortunately, Su Yiyan didn't have time to care about them. Seeing that the frogs were almost done, Su Yiyan quickly took another pot and chopped up her favorite potato slices, onion slices and lettuce shreds. She stir-fried them together with the garlic slices for a while. After stir-frying, he poured it into the pot of frogs and stir-fried it a few times to mix the meat and vegetables together. Then he turned off the fire and started cooking. In an instant, a large pot of fragrant dried pot frogs was placed right in front of everyone's eyes. The strong aroma mixed with the billowing white smoke kept drilling into everyone's noses, making them so hungry that they almost drooled. I can't take it anymore. If I die, so be it. I'll eat it first. You guys can do whatever you want. Some of the people who were still hesitating because of the frog's appearance couldn't hold back under the assault of the fragrance. They all stretched out their evil claws toward the pot of devil fruit. In the end, the moment he entered, he couldn't stop. The pheasant meat was tender, fragrant, and spicy. It didn't have the expected bitter and fishy smell. It was extremely fresh. Sob, I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted the host's choice. Although this thing is ugly, the meat is really tender. It's tender, fragrant, and spicy. The more you eat it, the more addictive it is. Damn. Who would have thought that such an ugly thing would be so delicious? I declare that from today onwards this dish will be my favorite. Whatever spicy boiled fish or crayfish will have to stand aside. The few of you who spam the screen are too much. A big pot of food can't even stop your mouths. You guys are eating it but you still call it ugly. Is there any justice in this? Frogs, didn't you say you wouldn't eat me if I was ugly? Diners are all liars. They're all pig trotters. It's too difficult for me. Chapter 882. Su Yiyin glanced at the screen and confirmed that most people were already savoring the frogs. She smiled and started to prepare the last dish, duck blood curd. It wasn't difficult to make duck blood curd, but it required a certain amount of patience and care. There were more ingredients in this dish. The processing method of each ingredient, the timing of adding them, and the heat needed to be paid attention to. Su Yiyin first dipped the tripe, duck blood and eel in water. Then she added chili powder, ginger slices, and scallions to make it fragrant. She added the bean paste and stock to make the soup base. Bean sprouts, daylilies, wood ears, lettuce and other vegetables were easy to cook. Once they were cooked, they had to be taken out immediately. Otherwise the taste would deteriorate if they were cooked for too long. It was the same for the tripe. The duck blood and eel needed to be cooked in the soup pot first. The tripe only needed to be boiled for a while before it was ready to be served. This kind of tripe was crispy and tender and the taste was excellent. Finally, she drizzled red-hot pepper oil and poured it into the sole, instantly attracting everyone's attention. Some people didn't even have time to climb out of their bowls of frogs and fell into the pot of duck blood curd. They were eating from their bowls while looking at the pot. When the duck blood curd was ready to be served, the rabbit head that was soaked in the brine was almost done with the juice. She took it out of the brine and added the pepper and chili powder to stir-fry until the rabbit head was fully coated in the chili oil. The audience in the live stream only felt that they had just eaten a few tender frogs when two more red and fragrant dishes appeared in front of them. Their eyes were wide open. After eating the soft and sticky meat, spicy and fragrant rabbit head, the people who were originally shouting, "Bunny is so cute, why do you want to eat bunny?" collectively changed their words to "Bunny is so cute, don't let it go." Rabbit, who instantly became the public enemy and the future rations of countless people. Humans are really big pig trotters. While the group of people was busy tasting the three spicy dishes, the soup, meat pancakes and sweet porridge that were made before were cooked one after another. Although it was just a virtual tasting, Huachenhuan's company's virtual simulator had a very good taste effect. Even if it was just a taste, after tasting three spicy dishes in one go, many of the audience members felt their mouths burning. Drinking some porridge soup was just enough to relieve the heat. After everyone recovered from their shock, they finally realized what was going on and focused their attention on the three spicy dishes prepared by Su Yiyin. Did anyone notice that the three dishes that the streamer made for the big baby are all spicy, and they are super insanely spicy? I noticed it too. Children definitely can't handle this level of spiciness. I have a guess. I have a guess too. Me too. A group of people began to spam the bullet screen with some specious words, making it seem like an underground organization was communicating with each other. In the end, someone couldn't stand the crowd's deliberate mystification and asked directly, "What kind of riddle are you playing? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't be so sarcastic." "Ha, I can't hold it in anymore. Her husband was a big baby. Look, the three dishes are bright red and they are all spicy. Children can't handle so much spicy food, so the big baby can only be an adult. And if I remember correctly, the streamer's husband likes strong flavors. The crayfish and spicy boiled fish from before were all prepared for him. Today's three dishes must be for him too. It's so sour." Chapter 883. Su Yiyin had never publicly said that her husband liked to eat spicy food, but the audience who had been watching her live broadcast for so long were not stupid. They knew that Huachenhuan would watch her live broadcast on time with the other audience members. Every time Su Yiyin made delicious food for him, she would generously say, "For my husband." This was also the main reason why the group of single people in the live broadcast room would cry out from time to time that they had eaten dog food and were being abused like sour lemons. After being force-fed dog food several times, some of the more attentive audience members naturally figured out Huachenhuan's preferences from Su Yiyin's inadvertent disclosure. Now that they saw these three dishes, their mood became subtle. How was this delicious food? It was clearly a big bowl of dog food. Su Yiyin really did not realize that her audience members were so clever before this. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised, but she still did not explain. As usual, one lucky audience member will be given a small sample of the same dish. Those who can't get it don't have to be disappointed. Seasonings such as chili will be officially sold tomorrow. There will be more than the other dishes. It's first come, first served. Su Yiyan made 3 spicy dishes today. First, she took into account that Huo Qinhuan had accompanied her to eat confinement meals during this period of time. He had not eaten food that suited his taste for a long time. Today she could help him improve his diet. On the other hand, it was because most of the seasonings such as chili, pepper, and the like were mostly annual. They were easier to grow than other Chinese medicinal herbs, and the production was also larger. In the first phase of the sale tomorrow, the total sales of chili would account for the majority. In the future, chili would probably be the most popular. After all, there were many people in the world who liked to eat spicy food. Not to mention Huo Qinhuan, the Su family members also liked spicy food. It was necessary to focus on promoting it. When the audience in the live broadcast room heard Su Yiyan's words, their eyes lit up. Just as Su Yiyan said, there were many people who liked to eat spicy food. But other than the research institute, only Su Yiyan had chili. They had tasted it in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room. Even if they went to a high-end restaurant and ordered the spiciest food, they always felt that something was missing. Now that Su Yiyan mentioned it, the audience's inexplicable pessimism that a large number of people would compete with them was suddenly ignited. Although there were many strong competitors, it was not necessarily impossible for them to get it. It was time to show their hand speed of many years of being single. Su Yiyan finished the lucky draw and turned off the live broadcast room. As soon as she walked out of the kitchen, she ran into Huo Qinhuan, who had hurriedly come back from outside. "You're back. The food is ready. Eat it while it's hot. It won't taste good when it's cold." Huo Qinhuan glanced at the frog in her hand and nodded reservedly. When he watched the live stream just now, he knew that these things were made for him, so he didn't fight with the audience who hadn't seen the world for themselves. Now that she smelled the fragrance coming from the pot and thought of the comments the audience made in the live broadcast room, Huo Qinhuan suddenly felt a little hungry. When the food was on the table, Uncle Zhang finally came back with the little guy, who had eaten and drunk to his heart's content. He had just drunk milk, but the little guy cried out as soon as he got close to the table. It was obvious that he wanted to eat after smelling the fragrance of the food. Su Yiyan was also interested when she saw this. She grabbed the little chubby hand that was waving around and laughed. "Do you want to eat? Do you want to eat this?" Little Xingxing's big watery eyes stared at the small piece of meat patty in the chopsticks. His little mouth squirmed a few times as if he was swallowing. Chapter 884. Most people's hearts would have melted into a puddle of water when they saw this scene. No matter what the little fellow wanted, they would give it to him. However, Su Yiyan only smiled and said, "You're still too young. You won't be able to digest this. When you're older, Mommy will make more for you." After saying that, she twisted the chopsticks and sent the small piece of meat pie into her mouth. Little Xingxing watched as the fragrant little thing flew into his mommy's mouth. When he reached out again, there was nothing in front of the chopsticks. It's gone?" Little Xingxing's expression was blank for a moment. Then his little mouth pouted and he started to cry. Ever since the little fellow was born, other than when he came out of his mommy's womb and cried so loudly, he was mostly teary-eyed and did not make a sound. It was rare for him to be so emotional. Now that he started crying, the adults present, including the culprit Su Yiyan, were all shocked. Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. She reached out to carry the child, but realized that her hand was still holding the chopsticks. While she was in a daze, the nanny had already stepped forward to carry the child and coax him softly. The little fellow stopped crying very quickly. He only stared at the chopsticks in Su Yiyan's hand with tears in his eyes. His big eyes were full of accusation. Su Yiyan coughed softly and guiltily hid the chopsticks under the table, trying to destroy the evidence. Unexpectedly, it would have been better if Su Yiyan did not hide it. Once she did, the little fellow thought of the missing meat pie. His little chubby face scrunched up and he started to cry again. Su Yiyan, Huo Qinhuan, the corners of Huo Qinhuan's mouth twitched. He instinctively looked at his wife. Su Yiyan received his gaze and instinctively spread her hands to show that she was really innocent this time. Huo Qinhuan, the little guy was still young, so the food on the table definitely couldn't be given to him to eat. The nanny hugged and coaxed him for a while, but when she saw that he was still staring at the dining table and crying non-stop, she could only look at Su Yiyan for help. Su Yiyin was also a little embarrassed. Her ears were slightly red as she said awkwardly, "Take him upstairs and play with him for a while. We'll go over after we finish eating." Yuan was by the nanny's side now. It would only be a short while, so she was not afraid of any trouble. The nanny hurriedly carried the child upstairs as if she had been granted amnesty. Su Yiyin watched as her baby's small figure gradually disappeared into the distance and her cries became more and more indistinct. She let out a long sigh and said worriedly, "I'm afraid she's going to be a little foodie in the future. She cries like this just because she stutters. I don't know who she inherited it from." Hua Chenhuan, who inexplicably felt that she had been implicated. "You were the one who deliberately teased him with food and bullied him until he cried. Now you're trying to shift the blame to the genes?" Not long after the child was taken away, his cries stopped. Out of sight, out of mind, and with a little toy he temporarily forgot about the unhappiness just now. Su Yiyin looked calm on the surface, but she was actually a little guilty in her heart. Now that she heard the crying, she let out a sigh of relief and continued eating. Hua Chenhuan glanced at the 3 dishes in front of her, then looked at the soup and small meat patties in front of Su Yiyin. A slight smile immediately appeared in her eyes. She said that it was for the baby, but in the end she was eating happily. She snatched the baby's food and even made him cry. This little liar. Su Yiyin, who was completely unaware that she had become a little liar in a certain someone's eyes, finished a bowl of longan porridge and a few steamed meat patties. Chapter 885. She didn't have a big appetite and didn't eat much at night. She didn't prepare much food for herself. On the other hand, Hua Chenhuan's bowl of dry pot chicken was quite big. There weren't many spicy rabbit heads, but there was still a big bowl of duck blood curd. Uncle Zhang also ate a little because of Hua Chenhuan. However, old people couldn't eat too much spicy food and were afraid of indigestion at night. In general, he didn't eat much. More than half of the remaining food went into Hua Chenhuan's stomach. After dinner, Su Yiyin couldn't help but reach out and touch Hua Chenhuan's stomach. That's strange. There was so much food just now. Where did it all go? Hua Chenhuan grabbed Su Yiyin's hand that was touching his stomach. Even if he was calm, he couldn't guarantee that his gun wouldn't go off when his wife touched him like this. Although he wanted to do her right now, he restrained himself when he thought of the doctor's instructions. "I'm a man. I have a big appetite." "I know you have a big appetite. I mean, where did you eat so much?" It was fine that his stomach didn't bulge, but he actually had abdominal muscles. Before his legs recovered, he stayed at home every day and did some rehabilitation exercises occasionally to prevent his legs from shrinking. She could understand why he had developed abdominal muscles. Later, when Hua Chenhuan's legs recovered and she was pregnant, he was basically by her side all the time except for work. After she gave birth, Hua Chenhuan took over the Hua group. With 2 big companies in his hands, he was so busy that he didn't have time to exercise at all. He ate so much and didn't exercise, but he didn't lose his shape at all. Was this really scientific? Maybe I'm not born to be fat. In the past, he didn't pay much attention to food. However, when he was with Su Yiyin, he was fed 3 meals a day on time. Occasionally, there would be snacks and afternoon tea. Especially during Su Yiyin's pregnancy and confinement, the family made delicious food for her in various ways. However, in fact, most of the food went into his stomach. This was also the main reason why most husbands would quickly swell up like a ball during their wives' pregnancy. However, Hua Chenhuan did not gain any weight even after eating so much. Su Yiyin pouted and said with a hint of envy, jealousy, and hatred, "If your words were heard by those little brothers and sisters who would grow fat just by drinking cold water, you would be beaten to death. You're attracting too much hatred." As Su Yiyin spoke, she glanced at Hua Chenhuan's belly with a particularly aggrieved look, causing a certain someone to scratch her nose, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Do you really want to hit me now? Do you really want me to eat until I become a big fatty? You don't like my abs? I don't know who used to like to sleep on my chest and touch me. Alright, that's enough." Su Yiyin's face flushed red when her little hobby was exposed so blatantly. She glared at Hua Chenhuan angrily. Seeing this, Hua Chenhuan immediately surrendered. "I was wrong. I won't say it again. If you want me to be fat, I can work hard to eat more. However, if I really don't look good when I'm fat, you may not like me anymore." Su Yiyin was stunned. She inexplicably felt that Hua Chenhuan was the villain who complained first. She immediately put her hands on her hips and said with a displeased face, "Am I such a superficial person?" Hua Chenhuan cast a suspicious look at her and said frankly, Do you want abs or a beer belly? Su Yiyan blinked, and the little swing in her heart began to swing wildly. On one side she was pressing on the little angel with six-pack abs, and on the other side she was pressing on the little devil whose neck could not even be seen. Psst. Chapter 886. Su Yiyan, who admitted that she was shallow, finally succumbed to the temptation of abdominal muscles. She completely gave up on feeding Huo Chenhuan into a big fat man. Huo Chenhuan looked at her regretful face and found it funny. Do you want to feed me into a big fat man so much? Actually no. Su Yiyan poked Huo Chenhuan's chest imperceptibly. I just feel a little unbalanced. We eat together but you eat so much more than me. I almost became a ball before but you didn't change at all. A body like hers, who could not get fat no matter how much she ate, was simply the #1 enemy of the majority of dieting girls. Huo Chenhuan couldn't help but pinch his wife's small face, which was slightly puffed up because of anger. It was soft just like their baby. Men and women are different. A girl is cute if she is a little chubby, but if a man is fat. Su Yiyan looked up at him in confusion. Haven't you heard of a saying? A white face covers 100 ugliness, but a fat face destroys everything. Huo Chenhuan pinched Su Yiyan's nose. If I were really fat to the extent that my abdominal muscles become a piece, then it would not be cute but an eyesore. Su Yiyan pouted and pushed Huo Chenhuan's hand away. What's wrong with that? Su Yiyan had seen some middle-aged uncles with bald heads and round stomachs. Now looking at Huo Chenhuan, she silently imagined him with a light bulb on his head and a swimming ring in his arms. For a moment she couldn't help but burst out laughing. Huo Chenhuan was stunned and looked at her in confusion. What's wrong? Nothing. No matter what you become, you will still be handsome and cute in my eyes. Su Yiyan's words were very sincere, but the smile in the bottom of her eyes was a little mischievous and sly. When Huo Chenhuan saw Su Yiyan's reaction, she knew that she must be thinking about something strange. She didn't dwell on it and asked with a faint smile, How was it with the baby today? Did the baby disturb you? No, the baby was very obedient today. When the people in my company knew that I brought him here, they all came to hug him and take pictures with him. He was very cooperative and didn't cry. It's just that they all rushed to my office like a swarm of bees, so I didn't have the mood to work. Before I came back, I still had a lot of documents to deal with, so I threw them all to Brother Junxing. Thinking about it, I feel a little sorry for him. Many artists who had taken the blame but were not completely innocent. Hearing her words, Huo Chenhuan pondered for a while. It's indeed not easy to work with a child. Yes. Why don't I take him to the company tomorrow? Yes. Su Yiyan nodded subconsciously. Then, as if she had realized something, her eyes widened in surprise. What did you say? Are you taking the baby to the company? Why are you so surprised? Didn't you take him to the company today? When Huo Chenhuan said this, there was a subtle hint of jealousy. His wife took the child to play, but he was the only one excluded. How can it be the same? Su Yiyan thought to herself. Based on your image in front of the company's employees, if you really swaggered to the company with a child like me, the employees would be disillusioned. How is it different? You are his mother and I am his father. It's natural to take the child out. What I mean is, can you really handle it by yourself? Huo Chenhuan laughed. If you can handle it, why can't I? You know, I usually take care of the child at home. Chapter 887. Su Yiyan choked. Indeed, Huo Chenhuan usually took care of the child at home. Most of the time he changed diapers, made milk powder, fed the baby, and even bathed the baby. In his words, men and women should not touch each other. Even if the baby was less than 2 months old, he was still a boy. Su Yiyan was strictly guarded by a jealous man. Except for feeding the mother occasionally, she was basically only responsible for playing with the child in her spare time. Su Yiyan was silent for a moment as it concerned her position in front of her children. She straightened her neck and said, So what? The baby still likes me. Every time he cries, he wants me to hold him. Yes. The baby likes you the most. The second person he likes is me. Huo Chenhuan agreed so readily that Su Yiyan felt a little embarrassed. She confirmed again, Are you really going to take him there? Are you still worried about him being with me? I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about you. Su Yiyan frowned and thought for a moment. She was still a little worried and said, If the baby keeps crying and can't be coaxed, or you have to leave for something, ask Xiaoyang to send the baby to me. Okay. Although she said that, it was the first time that the baby's father took the baby out alone. Su Yiyin felt that she still needed to make some preparations in advance. While Hu Chenhuan went to the bathroom to take a shower, she added Gu Xiaoyang and the other two to an independent private group and asked for help online. Ordinary young madam, Hu Chenhuan will take the baby to the company tomorrow. Who is in charge of the head office tomorrow? Please help him. Gu Xiaoyang and the others were a little confused when they saw such a message. After they came to their senses, they started to talk at the same time. Jumping Fish Hualong. Young master is taking the little prince to the company tomorrow? Heavens, does that mean I can see the little crown prince tomorrow? Can I hug him? Is it okay if I take a photo with him? Serious little Yang. Young master is taking the little prince to the company? Alone? Can young master do it? I have never taken care of a child. Can I help? Conscientious Wuxia. Don't worry, madam. The three of us will be there for the weekly meeting tomorrow. We will help young master take good care of the child. Su Yiyin. She felt that the last sentence sounded a little strange, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The artists in her company liked to call their baby little prince. Now that she saw Yu Zian and the others calling him that, Su Yiyin did not find it strange, but, ordinary young madam, is your company having a regular meeting tomorrow? How could Hu Chenhuan not tell her about such an important matter? If there was a regular meeting, even if it wasn't a big meeting of the entire company, at least a portion of the company's executives would be present. Imagine a meeting room filled with 20 to 30 company executives discussing the company's reports and future operations with a serious expression. But there was a pink baby carriage by the side, and occasionally a baby's cries could be heard. Thinking of this scene, Su Yiyin felt a little suffocated. But if she didn't bring the baby along and left him alone in the office, ordinary young madam, forget it. Don't ask him to bring the baby tomorrow. We'll talk about it when we have the chance. The three of them, who were still immersed in the sweet dream of holding the cute little prince in their arms, were shocked when they saw this message. Jumping Fish Hualong. No. Young madam, please ask young master to bring the little prince here tomorrow. We will take good care of him. Chapter 888. Serious little Yang. Yes, young madam, you don't have to worry that young master can't take care of him alone. Although we don't have much experience and can't help much, there are many girls in the company, many moms. We can definitely serve the little prince as comfortably as if he were at home. Conscientious left. Young madam, are you worried about the regular meeting? So you don't have to worry. It's okay if I don't attend the meeting this time. I can stay and take care of the baby. Bouncing Yu Hualong. You're cheating again. Young madam, I can also skip the meeting and stay and take care of the baby. Serious little Yang, +1. Why do I feel that all of you can't wait to suck my baby? Su Yiyin had been worried that Hu Chenhuan would neglect her baby because she was busy with work. Now, she was inexplicably afraid that her baby would fall into a fire pit and be surrounded by a group of strange uncles. Ordinary young madam. I think it's not good for the boss to take the baby to work in such a serious place. It might be a bad example for you. Before Su Yiyin could finish the second half of her sentence, she was bombarded by the three people. Jumping Fish Hualong. No. Young madam, you've misunderstood. Our company is very democratic and humane. As long as you complete the work assigned by the company within the specified time, we won't care about your personal affairs. It's not unusual for a young master to bring a baby to work. Previously, there was an employee who brought the baby to the company because his family had all moved out. He couldn't leave the company because of work, so he brought the baby to the company. Serious little Yang. Yes, I can testify to that. Conscientious Wuxia. Yes, there is such a thing. After that, they began to spam the screen with various enlightened deeds in the company, trying to dispel Su Yiyin's idea of not allowing Hu Chenhuan to bring the baby to work. Su Yiyin looked at the flying explanations on the screen and couldn't interrupt. Her mouth twitched slightly. In the end, she had no choice but to give up. Out of sight, out of mind. Just then, a voice suddenly came from behind, startling Su Yiyin. What are you looking at? Nothing. Su Yiyin turned the screen down guiltily and changed the subject. I'm just thinking that there's no news from the police. I don't know when they'll catch Hu Qihan. Soon. Hu Chenhuan walked to the bed and sat down, hugging Su Yiyin. In a few days. Su Yiyin glanced at Hu Chenhuan in confusion. Her intuition told her that he might know something. Seeing that he didn't say anything for a long time, he turned to ask another person. What did the police say? When Su Yiyan mentioned the woman, a chill flashed across Hua Qinhuan's eyes. He sneered and said, maybe she was worried that we would do something to her son. Chapter 889. When Su Yiyan heard Hua Qinhuan's words, she narrowed her eyes dangerously and said coldly, do whatever you want. You don't have to be merciful to her. Not long after the incident, Su Yiyan got the surveillance footage from Yuan Yuan and found that the woman had actually begun to wander around the baby's room a week ago. It was only because she did not really get close to the baby's room at that time and did anything substantial to the child that she did not trigger the security system of Yuan Yuan's internal chip and punish her. This was actually one of the drawbacks of Yuan Yuan as an imperfect semi-finished product. It did not react as quickly as they had expected. For this reason, early in the morning, as soon as Su Yiyan went to the company, Hua Qinhuan asked Zui Yanbai to upgrade Yuan Yuan and add an early warning system. These abnormalities that they could not judge would be fed back to the owner in advance so that the owner could study and analyze the ultimate purpose of the other party's actions and effectively avoid some dangers. After watching these surveillance footage and combining it with the information that she had asked Hua Qinhuan to investigate about the woman's son, Su Yiyan quickly found out that there was something fishy going on. The time when the woman appeared near the baby's room was when her son had just owed a huge gambling debt, and Hua Qihan had only officially contacted her 3 days ago. What did this mean? It meant that long before Hua Qihan contacted her, this woman had already set her sights on her son. It was just that at that time she was still hesitant, or rather she did not have the courage to initiate a kidnapping to extort money to pay off her son's debt. Hua Qihan's appearance freed her from the abyss of evil. An accomplice who had just received money to steal the child and give it to the child's uncle was less guilty than the mastermind who had planned this whole conspiracy. After taking the money, she could save her son from the abyss of suffering and then escape far away. She did not need to risk being caught and dealing with her old boss for money. She did not need to worry that with Hua Qihan, the mastermind, in front of her, Hua Qinhuan and others would have the energy to pursue her, a small shrimp caught in the middle of a fight between gods. As for what would happen to the child after he was stolen and given away, it had nothing to do with her at the moment when the money was paid. Understanding this point, Su Yiyan really could not have the slightest bit of pity for this woman. The most ironic thing was that after that, the nanny and Uncle Zhang came to apologize to Su Yiyan out of guilt. They felt that it was their negligence that had caused the scare. He sighed from the bottom of his heart. Who would have thought that such an honest person would do such a thing? Honest? That's right. Everyone in the family Hua mansion had an honest opinion of that woman. But it was this honest man who did the most shocking thing. To put it bluntly, no matter how good a person was, under the premise of not affecting their own interests, no one would know whether the person under the skin was a human or a ghost. This was human nature. How is her son? What else? Hua Qinhuan's expression did not change, as if she was talking about an insignificant ant. He owes a lot of debt, and now the people who can help him pay off his debts have been locked up. Those debt collectors alone are enough for him to suffer. It was true that the woman's son could not have ended up like this without Hua Qihan's seduction, but in the final analysis, it had a lot to do with his blindly demanding and vain character. Adults always had to be responsible for their own actions. Hua Qinhuan did not think that he and his mother were worth pitying. Chapter 890. From the few words revealed by Hua Qinhuan, Su Yiyan also guessed that he should have some idea of Hua Qihan's whereabouts. Although she didn't know what he was planning to do now, since he was under control, she could feel more at ease. The only tricky thing was that paper couldn't wrap fire. After all, the fact that the child was almost stolen couldn't be hidden for long, and Su Yuxuan soon found out. I was wondering why you suddenly took my little nephew to the company. Junxing also told me that you might be reluctant to be separated from the child for so long, so you simply took the child to the company. If I hadn't been careful and asked around, how long did you plan to hide such a serious matter? Su Yiyan listened to her brother's angry questioning and said guiltily, "Brother, I was wrong. The baby is fine. He was just taken to the door when he was found and taken back. He wasn't hurt or frightened. I was afraid that you would be worried, so I didn't say anything. You were afraid that we would be worried and didn't say anything. Didn't you think that we would be scared to death if we found out from other people?" Su Yiyan choked and lowered her head, blaming herself even more. Do Mom and Dad know about this? What do you think? If I know, how can Mom and Dad not know? Su Yiyan lowered her head even more. What was Mom and Dad's reaction? Did you tell them that the child was fine? Of course I told them, but how can this kind of thing be settled just by saying it? Mom was scared. As soon as she found out about this, she immediately wanted to go to your house to see her grandson. I persuaded her and told her that it was already so late. You and the child must have already gone to bed. If she went there, she would be restless all night. Only then did I persuade her. Su Yuxuan sighed. Are you still taking the little guy to work tomorrow morning? If not, we'll go directly to your house tomorrow morning. If you do, you can take him home at noon and let Mom and Dad take a look at him to reassure them. Well, I won't take him tomorrow, then we'll go over tomorrow morning. You can tell Uncle Zhang, or you can go to work early tomorrow morning and wait for us at home. After listening to Su Yuxuan's words, Su Yiyan stubbornly continued what she was about to say. Although I'm not bringing him, Chenhuan is going to bring him to work tomorrow. Su Yuxuan was deathly silent for a few seconds before he roared out in an earth-shattering voice, "What did you say?" Su Yiyan touched her ears, which were hurting from the shock, and said helplessly, "He's going to take Bao Bao to his company tomorrow." Alone? Will it work? He usually brings more than me at home. Should be okay. Are you sure he's taking care of the child and not playing with the child? The corners of Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. How about I tell him not to bring the child to the office tomorrow? No need. I just asked Mom and Dad. They're busy during the day tomorrow. We'll look for you at night. Su Yiyan was puzzled when she heard that. Didn't they just say that they would come together tomorrow morning? Why would they be busy while they were on the phone? Although she thought about it, Su Yiyan still agreed to it. The next morning, Huo Chenhuan, dressed in a handsome suit, pushed a pink pram, and carried a pink mother's bag on his shoulder as he slowly walked into his company. The receptionist, who had taken out her lipstick and was about to touch up her makeup before working hours, saw this scene. Her hand trembled and the corner of her mouth drew a long red tail. Chapter 891. At the critical moment, another young lady at the front desk tugged at her, bringing her back to reality. The receptionist seemed to have woken up from a dream. She hurriedly hid under the desk at the front desk, barely managing to maintain her image in front of her boss. "Hello, boss." The remaining receptionist discreetly shielded her colleague and greeted Huo Chenhuan with a polite smile. Huo Chenhuan pushed the stroller past the front desk and responded coldly and reservedly, "Yes." But when he entered the elevator, he subconsciously pulled at the mother's bag on his shoulder. It contained the baby's milk powder, diapers, toys, and other small things. If he accidentally lost it, the baby would not be able to play, but it would be a big problem if he went hungry. What Huo Chenhuan did not know was that as soon as he pushed the stroller into the elevator, the two receptionists at the front desk exploded. "Xiaojia, your face." The receptionist wiped the lipstick on her cheeks in an extremely boorish and bold manner. She looked at the direction Huo Chenhuan left with sparkling eyes and said excitedly, "Why do you care about your face at this time? The boss was pushing a stroller just now, right? A pink stroller. It must be the little crown prince inside." "It should be." "What should be?" "It must be." "Other than the little crown prince, who else can make the boss bring the baby to work?" "Yes, what you said makes sense. The boss brought the little crown prince to work. No, I have to tell this good news to the brothers and sisters in the group." Therefore, under the publicity of the receptionist's loudspeaker, the news of Huo Chenhuan bringing a child to work had already spread throughout the company before he even entered the office. Zhuo Yanbai and the other two were even more excited. They rubbed their hands and were ready to take over Huo Chenhuan's job of taking care of the baby. Under the pretext of helping out, they openly sucked the baby. Most of the regular meetings in Huo Chenhuan's company were held in the morning. Usually at this time, most of the employees were anxious, afraid that they would be criticized in public if they did not do a good report. But today was different. Since they knew that Huo Chenhuan brought a child to the company and would most likely bring the child to the regular meeting, they were all excited. Everyone at the meeting seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. They couldn't wait for time to pass faster, so that they could see the legendary little prince who was doted on by thousands of people earlier. When Huo Chenhuan pushed the stroller into the meeting room, he was keenly aware of the burning gazes from all directions. He frowned slightly and glanced at the crowd with warning. Everyone was swept by his cold gaze and they realized that they had lost their composure. They hurriedly retracted their gazes and looked down guiltily. However, their guilty conscience didn't last long. Soon they couldn't help but glance at the pram again. It was just that before he was looking at it openly. Now he was sneaking glances. Seeing this, Hu Chenhuan could not be bothered and pushed the stroller inside. Zui Yanbai, who was sitting below Hu Chenhuan, got up and walked over. It's inconvenient for you to take care of the child. Why don't you leave him to me? Yu Zian and Gu Xiaoyang, who were a step behind, secretly cursed someone's cunning in their hearts. However, to Zui Yanbai's disappointment, Hu Chenhuan did not let him take care of the child as he wished. Instead, he avoided his hand and pushed the stroller to the side of the sofa. No, I'll take care of it. Do you really think that I can't see through your little tricks? Today none of you can touch my baby. Chapter 892. Zui Yanbai's expression stiffened for a moment, as if he hadn't expected to be rejected. However, he quickly recovered and sat down on the other side of the pram with a faint smile. When Yu Zian saw that Zui Yanbai had been rejected, they felt a sense of relief and cursed in their hearts. You deserve it. Who told you to always play tricks behind our backs? You were rejected by young master, weren't you? Zui Yanbai saw how the two of them were gloating over his misfortune. He was both angry and amused, and his eyes were full of disdain. Did these two fools think that they had a chance just because he had been rejected? How naive. Young master clearly intended to do it himself and not let anyone else interfere. This included himself and of course also included them. They were still feeling smug and thought that they were better than him. Although he had been rejected, he was still sitting next to the pram and could see the little prince as soon as he lowered his head. The little guy was very sleepy. Before they set off, Su Yiyin had fed him milk once. After drinking it, he had fallen asleep and hadn't woken up since. Zui Yanbai looked at the little guy who was as white and tender as a little doe. He felt as if a naked little angel was holding a delicate little bow and spinning it around for him. Then, with a whoosh, a small silver arrow with a heart-shaped arrowhead tail shot out and accurately pierced his heart. As expected of young master and young madam's baby. He was so cute. Just like that, Hu Chenhuan was busy listening to the department head's report and didn't notice that there was a terrifying child thief lurking next to her. Until, the originally serious atmosphere in the meeting room instantly became subtle because of the baby's low cry. Zui Yanbai, who had been staring at the baby like a weird uncle, was the first to react. He coughed softly and reminded him, "Young master, the baby seems to be awake." When everyone in the meeting room heard this, their eyes lit up. They didn't care if their big boss would glare at them and looked at the pram excitedly. She was looking forward to hearing the little guy speak again. When the little guy woke up, would big boss carry him out? The 2-month-old baby wasn't big to begin with, and the pink pram could completely cover him. They stretched their necks for a long time, but they still couldn't see half a tuft of hair on the young master's head. They were so anxious. When Hu Chenhuan heard Zui Yanbai's words, she subconsciously turned her head to look. Sure enough, she saw that the little girl who had been sleeping soundly had woken up in a daze. Her small hands moved, and her eyes opened and closed for a while. This continued for a few times as if she was adapting to the light from the outside world. Finally, the little guy was completely awake. His pair of big black grape-like eyes looked around. Perhaps because she realized that there was no one around, she felt a little scared and began to cry without warning. Wah! The childish cry instantly resounded throughout the entire office, and there were even some subtle echoes. All of a sudden, many people present were shocked. Hu Chenhuan's heart ached when she saw him cry. She reached out and took the baby out of the pram, coaxing him in a low voice, "Baby, don't be afraid. Daddy's here. Daddy's here." Everyone who witnessed the big boss coaxing the child in a soft voice was speechless. Oh my God, was this the cold-blooded demon king who could scare everyone to death with just a frown? Would they be able to walk out of the company alive today? Hu Chenhuan coaxed the baby for a while and found that he was still crying sadly. She frowned slightly and touched the baby's diaper as if she sensed something. Chapter 893. After clearly feeling the heavy weight, Hu Chenhuan stated expressionlessly, "He peed." After that, she left the dumbfounded crowd behind, got up and left with the baby. Zui Yanbai was the first to react. He suddenly stood up and said, "The meeting is suspended. I'll inform you of the meeting time later." Then he hurriedly left after Hu Chenhuan. Yu Zian realized what Zui Yanbai wanted to do and couldn't sit still. No, they couldn't just let this cunning guy take advantage of them. They had to follow him. The two of them looked at each other, got up and chased after him. A few seconds later, a slightly dazed voice sounded in the dead-silent office. "Is the boss going to change the little prince's diaper?" As soon as this was said, the atmosphere in the office became stagnant again. It was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. After some time, someone couldn't help but laugh out loud. It was as if someone had pressed a switch, and the office was suddenly in an uproar. Before the big boss left, he did say that the little prince peed. It's very likely that the little prince was crying because he felt uncomfortable after peeing. If he wants to stop crying, he has to change his diaper. Can the big boss do it? Changing the little prince's diaper personally? I can't imagine it. You should be able to. Otherwise, why would the madam let the boss bring the little prince to the company alone? Although what you said makes sense, I still can't accept it. The big boss is actually changing the little prince's diaper personally. I suddenly want to see the big boss changing the little prince's diaper. It must be very exciting. Which brave comrade would dare to secretly take a picture of the big guy's wish? Secretly take a picture? I'm afraid he's not dying fast enough. Isn't it good to live well? Just now, I only took one more look at the big boss pushing the baby stroller. When the big boss looked at me, I wondered if I could see the sun tomorrow. That's why it's called risking your life. Do you dare say you don't want to see it? Actually, to be able to see the big boss change the little prince's diaper and take a look at the little prince's chubby butt, it's worth it even if it's risking my life. I'm just afraid that I'll be discovered before I even see it, and then there'll be a crack, and then... You actually want to see the little prince's butt, you perverted strange auntie. Don't tell me you don't want to see it? I'll be honest, I want to. Me too. Ha ha, I saw it when boss picked up little prince. The little prince's diaper actually has a pink piggy printed on it. I want to pat it. It's so cute. Aren't the cat ears on the little prince's hoodie the most suffocating thing? I want to touch you. Usually when I'm chatting with others, I feel like punching them when I see them crying. That is until I hear the little prince's cries. How fragrant. Fortunately, Su Yiyan was not present at the scene. Otherwise, she would have exploded on the spot if she saw the room full of weird uncles and aunties coveting her son's small buttocks and wanting to touch his buttocks and pat them. Zui Yanbai caught up with Huo Chenhuan and asked with great enthusiasm and sincerity, "Do you need any help?" Huo Chenhuan looked at him suspiciously. "You know how to change diapers?" Zui Yanbai was stunned. "I've seen people do it before." "You've personally changed the baby?" "No." "Hot, so, where did a newbie like you get the courage to think that you can help?" Zui Yanbai. Chapter 894. In the end, general managers Wu failed to get the lucrative job of changing the little guy's diaper. He was rejected by the child's father. At the same time, Yu Zian and Gu Xiaoyang rushed over and ridiculed general managers Wu. After that, there was an inevitable fight. Huo Chenhuan ignored the commotion outside. After laying out a soft towel and placing the baby on the flat table, she took out a diaper from the pink mother's bag and skillfully changed the baby. Just then there was a sudden commotion outside the door. "Is President Huo inside?" Hearing this voice, Huo Chenhuan suddenly stopped what she was doing. "Yes, but... Hey, President Su, you can't just go in like this. President Huo is..." The secretary outside the office wanted to stop her, but she didn't dare to do so because of her status. With a bang, the door to Huo Chenhuan's office was opened from the outside. Su Yuxuan walked in at the front, followed by two secretaries and Zui Yanbai, who hadn't gone far. Huo Chenhuan had just put on a new diaper for the baby. Hearing the commotion, she looked up and glanced at everyone. She said coldly, "What's the matter?" The first to react was the secretary who tried to stop Su Yuxuan. President Su is, ugh." Before she could finish, Yu Zian covered her mouth. It's fine. We didn't see anything." Silly girl. President Su was the young master's brother-in-law. It was fine for him to barge in and see the young master changing the baby's diaper. Small fries like them didn't even have time to run. Why were they still complaining? Did they think they weren't cannon fodder fast enough? The group of people very sensibly scattered like birds and beasts, leaving the two adults alone with a child who couldn't even speak. Su Yuxuan glanced at the little one in Huo Chenhuan's arms, then looked at the old diapers that hadn't been cleaned up in time. She raised her eyebrows slightly. "I heard from Yin Yin that you're bringing the child to work today. I didn't quite believe it, but I didn't expect it to be true." Hearing Su Yuxuan mention his wife, Huo Chenhuan's expression softened. Yin Yin told you? Who else could it be? Su Yuxuan swaggered to the sofa nearby and sat down. He said in a sarcastic tone, I can't believe that the president of the Hua group would personally breastfeed and change a child's diapers. If this gets out, I'm afraid many people will laugh their heads off. Hua Chenhuan pretended not to hear the other party's sarcasm. She carried the child and sat opposite Su Yuxuan. She smiled faintly and said, as a parent, it's only meaningful to do everything personally. I'm afraid those who haven't been parents won't be able to understand this. Su Yuxuan's brother-in-law, who had never been a parent and didn't even have a partner, felt an arrow piercing his heart. It was very painful. Don't talk nonsense. Yin Yin didn't mention such a big thing because he was afraid that we'd be worried about it. But you didn't say anything either. Are you afraid that we'll get even with you? Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed coldly. This was indeed my negligence. The same thing won't happen again. You said before that you wouldn't let Yin Yin suffer any harm from now on. What happened in the end? Su Yuxuan stared at Hua Chenhuan. His words were really aggressive. Didn't you think that you were lucky this time to find the child before it was stolen? If you reacted a little slower, or if the other party directly hurt the child to get revenge on you, what would Yin Yin do? Chapter 895. What would happen to Su Yiyan? The answer was obvious. This little guy was Su Yiyan's flesh and blood. If anything happened to him, it would be tantamount to stabbing a knife into Su Yiyan's heart. I didn't come here today to denounce you. I just want to know what you're going to do with the mastermind behind the scenes. Hua Chenhuan knew very well that since Su Yuxuan asked this question, he must already know who the mastermind behind the scenes was. I'll do what I have to do. Have you made up your mind? Of course, no one is more important than Yin Yin and the child. Su Yuxuan's expression became better. I'll remember your words. Hua Chenhuan looked up at him. The person has been found. Su Yuxuan was stunned. It took him a while to realize that Hua Chenhuan was talking about the mastermind. His eyes turned cold. He wanted to ask Hua Chenhuan why he didn't inform the police to arrest the person since he had already found the whereabouts of the person. Did he leave some leeway for the other party? But when the words reached his mouth, he swallowed them back. It was fine if some words were hinted vaguely, but if he really said it out loud, it was easy to cause conflict. Su Yuxuan gave Hua Chenhuan a fierce look. I'll trust you one more time. After that, he looked at his little nephew and said enviously, Can I hold him? Uncle wanted to hold his nephew. As his brother-in-law, Hua Chenhuan naturally had no reason to refuse. Without much hesitation, he handed his little son, who had returned to his well-behaved appearance after changing his diapers, to Su Yuxuan. This was the first time Su Yuxuan held the little guy in a long time. Before this, he had come to see his nephew many times, but almost every time he was with Cheng Xiuqin. Two adults would fight to hold a child, let alone him who was at the bottom of the food chain at home. Children have soft bones. You should support them here and here. Following Hua Chenhuan's instructions, Su Yuxuan carefully held the child in her arms. Little Xingxing seemed to have some impression of this uncle who had come to visit him several times. He stared at him with his big eyes for a while and suddenly laughed. Su Yuxuan's heart melted into a pool of water, and he was secretly excited. He was indeed the son of his baby sister. When he smiled, he was exactly the same as Yin Yin when he was a child. He was really a lovely baby. Su Yuxuan held the baby in her arms. She was happy and satisfied, but she didn't forget to insult Hua Chenhuan. You're quite knowledgeable about carrying babies. Practice makes perfect. Before I had children, I didn't feel it. After I had children, I wanted to hug them whenever I saw them. Naturally, I became familiar with them after a few times. When Hua Chenhuan said this, she glanced meaningfully at Su Yuxuan as if to say, You're an unmarried single dog, so you won't understand. Su Yuxuan. So what if you have a wife? So what if you have a child? Reality proved that having a wife and a child really was amazing. He shouldn't have come here today to humiliate himself. Young Master Su, who had originally come to give a warning to a certain someone, but had instead been shown off in front of him, regretted it so much that his intestines almost turned green. The two adults and the child in the room had an undercurrent of tension. The atmosphere was so heavy that it seemed like they could start fighting at any time. However, in the eyes of others, this scene was completely different from what they had expected. At least, in Su Yiyan's eyes, the two people who were at daggers drawn and the little kid in his big brother's arms looked a bit like a family of three. Chapter 896. Su Yiyin was shocked by her own imagination. She coughed a few times with a glass of water in her hand. Plain young madam, what's this? Black man's question mark face. JPG, bouncing Yu Hualong. President Su just came to the company to look for young master. Plain young madam. My brother went to your company? Su Yiyin was shocked. No wonder her brother said last night that he would see the baby in the morning or in the afternoon. When he heard that Huo Chenhuan was going to take the baby to the company today, he immediately changed his mind. So that's what he was waiting for. Plain young madam, they didn't fight, did they? Serious little Yang. No. President Su and our young master are quite harmonious. They seem to be discussing how to breastfeed the baby. Su Yiyin. Of all things, the two men were discussing how to breastfeed the baby? No, she couldn't think about it anymore. The more she thought about it, the more she felt like they were a family of three. Su Yiyin tried hard to drive out the wild imagination in her mind. Plain young madam, please keep an eye on them. Don't let them fight. I'm going to do a barbecue livestream this weekend. I hope you can do me the honor of joining us. I want to thank you for taking care of Chenhuan during my pregnancy. Zui Yanbai and the others didn't expect to receive such benefits. They were a little dizzy from the pie that fell from the sky. It took them a while to come back to their senses. Each of them was more excited than the other. Jumping Yu Hualong? Really? I'll definitely go. Serious little Yang, I'll definitely be there that day. Thank you, young madam. Conscientious was well. This is what we should do. Well, what's barbecue? Bouncing Yu Hualong? Who cares what it is? As long as it's made by young madam, it must be delicious. As a qualified young madam bragger, Yu Zian firmly believed that as long as Su Yiyin could bring out something good, it would definitely be delicious. Plain young madam. Barbecue is a cooking method that puts food on a rack and roasts it. The things roasted are mixed, both meat and vegetables. You can eat them while roasting. I don't know the specifics, but you'll know when the time comes. After hearing what she said, Zui Yanbai and the others were even more tempted. They couldn't wait to gather at the family Hua tomorrow, since it was the weekend. Su Yiyin did not know about their ambitions. She looked at the people in the group who were discussing the barbecue arrangements for the weekend in full swing even though they did not know anything. The corners of her lips curled up slightly and she did not interrupt. Just then a piece of news popped up on the page. Ding Juesi came to the rescue of a female artist who was being harassed on the way. He took stock of those female artists who were being followed by illegitimate fans. This piece of news wasn't eye-catching at first glance, but Su Yiyin's sharp eyes noticed that the picture accompanying the news seemed to be Wen Jingping? Su Yiyin took a closer look and found that the female artist mentioned in the news who was followed by insatiating fan and almost had an accident was indeed Wen Jingping. This was somewhat thought-provoking. Was Wen Jingping now famous enough to have her own illegitimate fans? Su Yiyin didn't think so. It could be seen from the title of the news. The male artist who saved the damsel in distress directly named her. Wen Jingping, the victim, was only labeled as a female artist. If it weren't for the picture, most people wouldn't be able to figure out who this female artist was. It could be seen that in the eyes of the media, Wen Jingping's name wasn't as popular as a female artist's name. It was pitifully shabby. Chapter 897. No matter what, Su Yiyin felt that it was only right for her to get someone to investigate this matter since the original female lead had stirred up trouble again. As a result, the investigation led to Huo Xiaofeng. Huo Xiaofeng? Su Yiyin was astonished. What does this have to do with Huo Xiaofeng? Could it be that he was the one who sent people to look for Wen Jingping? Xia Junxing held the investigation report from Yu Zian and the others and nodded. That's right. What? From the information, Huo Xiaofeng probably bribed these people to defile Wen Jingping. Defile? That was a serious word. In the original work, this was the ultimate couple in terms of sweetness. Were they now so disgusted with each other that they wanted nothing more than to tear each other to shreds? As if seeing Su Yiyin's confusion, Xia Junxing coughed lightly and explained, Actually, it's not that hard to understand. A man who has been cuckolded has his self-esteem hurt. Seeing the woman who used to belong to him fall into the arms of another man, he hates her as much as he liked her in the beginning. Also, he probably thinks that this kind of woman is too fickle. Since she was so fickle and couldn't move once she saw a man, he might as well find a few men to satisfy her. It could also be considered as helping him vent his anger. Su Yiyin was only surprised for a moment. After all, when He Xiaofeng personally came to negotiate with them, he said that he wanted to destroy Wen Jingping's reputation. She just didn't expect that He Xiaofeng would be so ruthless, directly making people. Have those people been caught? No, and judging from Hai Yi's actions, it seems that they don't intend to pursue this matter. Su Yiyan only needed to ponder for a moment before she could roughly guess what was going on. Pursue what? If you can find out, why can't Hai Yi find out? If this matter is really investigated, Wen Jingping and He Xiaofeng's disgraceful past will definitely be dug up. At that time, the public will not feel sorry for her, the victim. If the investigation continued and the truth was exposed, this matter would change from an extreme sightseeing fan chasing after a female celebrity to a female celebrity cheating on him, and the ex-boyfriend's love turned into hatred and revenge. Before Xia Junxing came back with the information, Su Yiyan took the time to look at the comments on the internet. It was a mix of good and bad. The good ones were naturally praising the man for his noble character. On the other hand, the bad ones were basically scolding Wen Jingping for attracting bees and butterflies and for reaping what she sowed. There were even a few keyboard warriors with discerning eyes who inadvertently peeked at a corner of the truth. Who knew if this so-called sightseeing fan was a self-directed act, or if she was caught cheating on a few men at one time and got caught? Just as Xia Junxing had said, Wen Jingping's actions had already left He Xiaofeng and even the public with the label of a fickle woman. In this era where girls who wore miniskirts would have male chauvinism and deliberately seduce men, Wen Jingping was precisely the target of most people's criticism. Take today's matter for example. If it had happened to other female celebrities, although there would be some people who were cynical, most people would still be kind to the victim and feel sorry for her. Wen Jingping was different. The person who scolded her the most fiercely was the male celebrity who had saved her. These fans praised their brother's noble character, handsome and kind heart, wishing that they could praise him to the heavens. On the other hand, they were crazily trampling on Wen Jingping. They thought that this woman didn't deserve to ride on their brother's popularity and even dragged down their brother because of her bad reputation. Chapter 898. If Wen Jingping had any self-awareness, she would have stayed away from her brother. Otherwise, there would be no need for those keyboard warriors. They would be the first to curse at her and send her to be scolded by Zhuanggua every day. Although there were some people who tried to lead the topic to the illegitimate fans, there were not as many people who were sarcastic. Once the truth was made public, the few people who spoke up for Wen Jingping would probably change sides. It would be very miserable. What's the background of this Ding Jueshi? Su Yiyan felt that the name sounded familiar, but she couldn't remember it at the moment. Ding Jueshi is an old actor in Hai Yi. He's in his early 30s. He's a professional actor. Although he's not as popular as the current celebrities, he has many die-hard fans because of his acting skills. Moreover, he was born as a child actor. In terms of seniority, he can be considered a senior among the younger generation. Senior? Su Yiyan's mind lit up. She seemed to have caught on to something. Yes, Wen Jingping's accident happened to be near the set of his new movie. He might have just finished filming and was about to go back when he coincidentally bumped into Wen Jingping. Coincidental? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and chuckled. It might not be a coincidence. Now that Xia Junxing mentioned it, Su Yiyan finally remembered who this person was. Among the backup male supporting characters in the original novel, Ding Jueshi was probably the one who had the least sense of presence and basically didn't have any scenes. There was no other reason than that he was married. He was a married man with a son and a daughter. Ding Jueshi and his wife were high school classmates. They fell in love in university and got married without any setbacks after graduation. According to the usual routine, the female lead in a romance novel could flirt with high-quality men everywhere and make the male lead jealous. However, the male lead couldn't flirt with anyone and had to keep his chastity for the female lead. Otherwise, it would definitely attract the condemnation of the clean party. It was fine to use a mature man like Ding Jueshi, who was almost 10 years older than the female lead and had a wife and a child, to show off the female lead's charm. However, it was impossible for him to be the male lead. In addition, if Su Yiyan remembered correctly, Ding Jueshi's wife seemed to be a young lady from a rich family. When she married him back then, she was already considered to have married down. After more than 10 years of relationship, she even gave birth to a son and a daughter for him. Even if the readers imagine that Wen Jingping, the female lead, enjoys the pursuit and love of a married man, they have to admit that he is a scumbag. A male supporting character who wasn't very popular in any aspect had suddenly disappeared as the author was writing. He was basically a flash in the pan and didn't have much of a presence. But now, Hua Xiaofeng, the original male lead, Ning Qirui and Luo Weibing, who were popular in the original novel, had either turned against Wen Jingping or been intercepted by Su Yiyan halfway. Even Dou Qianni, the villain in the original novel, seemed to be very cold to her. When Wen Jingping met Ding Jueci at this time, she didn't know if the two of them would have any chemistry different from the original novel. Not a coincidence? Didn't Hai Yi's drama finish filming long ago? What is Wen Jingping doing near the crew? From the information, it seems that she is going for an audition. Xia Junxing suddenly realized. You suspect that the crew she is going to audition for is Ding Jueci's? Can it be so coincidental? Su Yiyan didn't dare to say if other people would do it, but if it was Wen Jingping it might not be impossible. As the female lead of the world, even if she didn't have most of the halo, she still had some luck. Whether it is or not, she is going for an audition anyway. I just don't know if Mr. Ding will help her to the end and help her to the end. Chapter 899. In the original work, Wen Jingping and Ding Jueci only came into contact in the later stages. At that time, Wen Jingping was already famous in the industry, and the two of them got to know each other because of a small accident. The difference was that in the original work, Wen Jingping helped Ding Jueci with a small favor and gained Ding Jueci's favor. After that, Ding Jueci returned the favor and recommended Wen Jingping to join the cast of the new drama as an important female supporting role. Wen Jingping relied on this role to reach a higher level in her career and fame. Ding Jueci also secretly had feelings for Wen Jingping during the process of getting along with her in the crew. To a certain extent, he mentally cheated on her. Now, the situation of the two of them was completely reversed. The one who helped was Ding Jueci and the one who was helped was Wen Jingping. It was unknown if Ding Jueci would still recommend Wen Jingping to join the cast like in the original work. Even if Ding Jueci really did so, the current Wen Jingping was neither famous nor popular. Could she really get an important role in the original work if she joined the cast? Get people to keep an eye on them, especially get people to investigate what resources Wen Jingping has recently received and whether these resources are related to Ding Jueci. Of course, it would be even better if we can take some intimate photos related to them. Xia Junxing was shocked when he heard her words. You suspect that she and Ding Jueci? What does it matter if it's true? With her reputation, even if it's an accident, many people will let their imaginations run wild. Didn't you see how fiercely Ding Jueci's fans scolded her when he saved her? Su Yiyan raised the corners of her eyes slightly and revealed a mocking look. We didn't wrongly accuse her. If there's really a situation, we'll take photos. If there isn't, then forget it. Ding Jueci's wife has been with him for more than 10 years and even gave birth to a son and a daughter for him. If he was so easily seduced by Wen Jingping, it can only be said that his wife was entrusted to the wrong person. More than 10 years of my youth have been fed to the dogs, and in the end I still have to be kept in the dark, working hard for him without complaint, taking care of the house and taking care of the children. If it were you, would you pretend that you didn't know anything and just muddle through, or would you hope that a kind-hearted person who couldn't stand it would inform you earlier so that you could cut your losses in time? Xia Junxing choked. If it were him, he would naturally hope that it was the latter. No, that's not right. Why would a single dog like him need to think about such things? If he had to choose, he would definitely choose neither of them. He would work hard to find a partner who would never betray him. Xia Junxing realized that he had been led into a trap by Su Yiyan. He pushed up his glasses and said seriously, I understand. I'll get someone to keep an eye on them. Su Yiyan didn't want to use malicious eyes to speculate about people she didn't know, but with the lessons learned from the original work, she had to be on guard. If Mr. Ding behaved himself, she would let it go. She did not have the hobby of ruining people's families. But if someone took things too hard and wanted to court death, she could not be blamed. Hua Qihan thought that the time when he was driven out of the Hua family was the most difficult time in his life. Unexpectedly, only a few months later, he was slapped in the face again. On the day when the family Hua servants stole the children, Hua Qihan waited for a long time for someone to bring the children over. He immediately realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly asked Shuexiao to pack up the valuables and prepared to take them out to hide. As a result, when the two of them rushed to the airport with big and small bags, they were scared back by a group of people who had been waiting at the airport in advance. It was impossible to go back to their original place of residence. Hua Qihan made a prompt decision to take Shuexiao to hide in the remote suburbs. Chapter 900. Wuxia had a lot of properties under his name, but during the time when he was driven out of the Huo family, he had discounted a lot in order to maintain his high expenses. Moreover, during this sensitive period, hiding in a house under his name was tantamount to walking into a trap. However, most people like them would leave a few backup plans for themselves just in case. Wuxia first took Shuexiao to a small 2-story bungalow with a courtyard in the suburbs, which he had transferred to her name because she was pregnant. As a result, less than a day after they settled down, they heard the siren of a police car from a distance that night. They were so scared that they got up, picked up their things and ran away. After that, they didn't dare to run to the properties under their names. They only hid here and there looking for houses to rent, and ran to the dilapidated slums. They thought that as long as they hid in a place where good people mingled with bad people, the police wouldn't be able to find them in a short time. As a result, they were discovered not long after they arrived at a place. They ran away, were discovered, ran away again and were discovered again. After several times, Wuxia's mood had long been on the verge of collapse. Damn it, why are these people like dog skin plasters? I can't tear them off. Hearing the familiar siren again, Wuxia rushed out of the bathroom without wearing his pants. His face was full of anger and he couldn't wait to rush out and fight with the police. It was impossible to fight. Shuexiao seemed to be used to this kind of torment. He quickly packed up his things and took Wuxia's hand, saying, "Don't be impulsive. Where there is life there is hope. If you're caught by them now, we'll really have no hope left." Wuxia's face looked a little better after being persuaded by her. He held Shuexiao and left the temporarily rented house before the police came. They ran out in the middle of the night and didn't even have a place to stay. Generally, in a bigger and safer hotel, they had to use their ID cards to get a room, so they didn't dare to go there. In the end, in order not to live on the street and compete with those tramps, they had to enter a particularly shabby hotel. Not only did they spend a lot of money, but the room was also very simple. The walls were yellow, the curtains were old, and even the quilt they were going to cover tonight smelled damp and rotten. Wuxia had never suffered like this before. As soon as he entered the room, his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Shuexiao saw his pale face and knew that he was angry. He sighed and comforted him. "The conditions here are not good. But it's a special time. Let's bear with it. Once you get past this hurdle, you'll slowly get better." Wuxia looked at the woman who had been by his side for the past few days. His heart, which had been filled with anger and unwillingness, could not help but soften a little. He reached out and pulled her into his embrace. Touched, he said, "I've wronged you." Shuexiao buried herself in his arms and replied in a muffled voice, "No, it's nothing as long as I can be with you." Wuxia was even more moved when he heard this. Who would have thought that the high-spirited person in charge of the Huo group 2 years ago would not only lose his company 2 years later, but also turn against his wife and children. Even those partners who used to call him brothers and flatter him would kick him when he was down and shut him out. The only one who stayed by his side and was dead set on him was this little woman who was his mistress on a whim. Wuxia was disappointed and resentful. He solemnly promised Shuexiao, "I promise as long as we get through this difficulty, I will marry you and treat you wholeheartedly for the rest of my life." Chapter 901. Yes. Shuexiao answered in a low voice and buried her face more tightly in Wuxia's arms. Wuxia only thought that she was moved by his promise and did not think much about it. They stayed in this dark and damp room for 3 days. Wuxia had a hard time during these 3 days. The place where they lived had a musty smell. The nutrient solution sent to them was of the cheapest and inferior quality, and it had an expired smell. Wuxia was a real hedonist. His 3 meals a day were either cooked by the private chef at home or by the chef of a high-end restaurant. Then they would be sent to his company. He hardly touched nutrient solution. Even if he had to drink it, he would definitely choose the most expensive one. For this reason, Wuxian almost broke out on the spot and had a conflict with the hotel owner. In the end, Shuexiao persuaded him with a lot of good words. The only fortunate thing was that the 3 days in this shabby hotel were the safest 3 days for Wuxian since the accident. Just when Wuxian thought that this shabby hotel could really hide from the police officers who were searching everywhere outside and that he only needed to endure for a few more days to avoid the limelight and leave this place, a team of law enforcement officers suddenly appeared at the door of their room and broke in without warning. This completely shattered Wuxian's luck and hope. "Don't move. Raise your hands." Huo Qihan opened his eyes wide and looked at this scene in disbelief. You're finally here. Xue Xiaoyu heard the movement and came out of the bathroom with a relaxed and happy smile on her face. Huo Qihan was stunned for a few seconds before he realized what she meant. He was shocked, frightened and angry. It's you? Yes, it's me. Xue Xiaoyu finally showed her true colors at this moment. She looked at Huo Qihan indifferently with some disgust and hatred. You are a bitch. The string in Huo Qihan's mind finally broke. He ignored the people at the door who were staring at him covetously. He roared and rushed toward Xue Xiaoyu and grabbed her neck. The people outside the door hurried forward to help. A group of people dragged Huo Qihan and even punched him several times before they could separate him from Xue Xiaoyu. Cough cough, cough cough cough. Xue Xiao held the yellowed wall with one hand and coughed so hard that his eyes turned red. There was a large red handprint on her fair neck. It was obvious that Huo Qihan had used all his strength just now and really wanted to strangle her to death. You bitch. Even you betrayed me. You liar, slut, whore. Huo Qihan cursed and spat out all kinds of vulgar words, but Xue Xiao's face was cold from beginning to end. She was abnormally calm. When he was tired of scolding, he faintly spat out a sentence. I was never one of your people, how can I betray you? What? Huo Qihan suddenly stopped struggling. Just as he was about to ask Xue Xiao who was her subordinate, she asked coldly, Do you still remember the piece of land in Yu and Square 10 years ago? 10 years ago? Huo Qihan looked confused as if he couldn't remember what Xue Xiao was talking about. Xue Xiao looked at Huo Qihan's blank face which didn't seem to be fake. The pretended indifference and coldness on her face completely cracked because of Huo Qihan's reaction. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.